everybody, and welcome to the deepest dive on Pokemon Legends Arceus Part 2. I'm Ben Hansen, and this is the best, most thorough discussion about Pokemon Legends Arceus on the internet. In fact, it's the second half of that almighty discussion. I'm joined by Sarah Podzorski.
Hello.
Welcome. Joined by Janet Garcia.
Yo, what's up?
And joined by Kelsey Lewin, the co-director of the Video Game History Foundation. Welcome, Kelsey.
Hi.
Welcome.
I'm back.
Yes, thank you for being here. We have all seen credits roll on Pokemon Legends Arceus. We're going to be spoiling everything in this game. We're going to be careful about it, but we're going to be spoiling everything in the game from when you beat Kleavor. Remember that? What a faint memory that was.
I'm a different person.
Yeah, I don't even remember that weirdo. But from the point that you beat Kleavor up until credits roll, we're also going to be talking about post-credit stuff here. But we will let you know there should be a timestamp below in the description for when we start talking about all of that fun stuff. So you can look forward to that then. So we won't be spoiling anything beyond that. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for being here. This is a big community game club discussion. If you enjoy this discussion, if you enjoy giving games what we feel are the discussions they deserve, you can always help support the format by going to patreon.com/minmax with 2 N's, supporting us at the $2 tier. That's just peachy. But at the $5 tier, if I may interest you, you can unlock the podcast version of the Deepest Dive in Pokemon Legends, all of our other Deepest Dives, early access to the MinMax show, Party Chat, which is our Patreon exclusive podcast every week, a ton of stuff just for that $5 tier. So jump in there if you want to help support the format. Enough plugs. Can we frickin' talk about Pokemon already, folks?
Cyndaquil's different.
Yeah.
Cyndaquil's different.
Janet, can we just start with that? Because Janet, you hadn't seen his final evolution.
No, I hadn't.
Oh, that's right. Would that have changed your mind?
No, I like it. And it's funny because it's been so long since I've and this is like the weird thing with Pokemon because there's so many both spoilers online, but also like fan art and like mock-ups and then like fake leaks. So I wanted to Google like what, a reminder of the details on what Cyndaquil looks like normally, but I'm like, I think if I Google that, I'll see something else. So I'm just not even going to look it up. So then I saw, and at first it doesn't seem that different because it's like, okay, the same general shape. Like he's still like bipedal and like, big and kind of like.
He's still bipedal.
He kind of always looked like the final version of him kind of looks like weirdly lanky, almost like those two, like a ferret almost, but like more aggressive. Like, I don't know. I roll with it. But then so at first it took me a second to like perceive what really had happened to Cyndaquil. And then I was like, wait a minute. Especially when I started actually like using like Cyndaquil in combat, I'm like, it's all purpley and like ghosty. But I like that a lot. I love ghost / poison. I was like, what's one of my favorite like types. So I'm like, okay, this is I like this. It's weird. It was unexpected, but it was a really nice surprise. And it's been ages since I went in not knowing something like that. So it was really fun to get to discover it.
Is he actually?
Is that his typing? Typhlosion in this game is Fire Ghost.
I think it's Fire Ghost. I can pull him up.
So Sarah, I remember when this game, like when it leaked before it came out or whatever, I forget if it was on the main podcast or what, but I remember you just shrieking to the heavens and you said, "My boy, what have they done to my boy?" Who are you talking? Who were you talking about exactly? Okay, good to know.
I was talking about all of them. Typhlosion especially. I guess I just can't handle change. I'm honestly not a fan of most of the Hisuian forms. Like Weirdeer having a beard. Like they like de-cutified them. And I'm a fan of the cute Pokemon, and they made them a little more like bescraggled. I don't know what else to describe them as. They made them as rough as the Hisuian landscape. Right.
It's like, I guess, what do you do for a Growlithe if it was back in the 1800s, whenever the hell this is supposed to be? And it's like, lumberjack Growlithe, just like a bigger beard. That's about
literally, it was like, what if we gave them all beards?
I like bearded Growlithe. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they all look fine.
Well, the little emo bangs too.
Yeah.
I think it works.
You can't see his eyes.
One thing I will say is especially looking at a side-by-side really quick from a Google of Typhlosion regularly and the Hisuian form, he definitely looks a little bit more muted. Like he looks a little stonery. He's like a stoner ghost fire boy. And I'm down for it. I feel like this is his truest form. And I'm ready to embrace it. Yes.
Right, that is
Like
perfect.
who's got the Sublime poster on the wall? He's a couple years older in high school.
Yeah, like he definitely like he altered the Hollywood sign to say Hollyweed. You know, he was like, "That's dope." Like that's the energy he brings to the stage.
Yeah,
and I like it. It's like a weird flame ghost necklace look to it too. I like it a lot. I think it's
That's
cool.
his puka shell necklace.
I feel like, Janet, I think you're protesting too much. You've spent too much time explaining why you do like it. I think you're trying to convince yourself that you're really into this new Typhlosion variant.
I like him.
Okay, look, you like him.
Well, it's because I think too, like one of the conversations around starters that I've seen a lot is like, oh, it's always the same ones, and there are like mechanical reasons why it's those types. But I have at least heard in my circles, like, wouldn't it be fun if they had something different as a starter? And I feel like this is their way to kind of have their cake and eat it too, where it's like, what if it took on this like more intriguing type? And again, like Ghost, Poison, those are probably like my top, and like Grass again is one of the basic ones, but like those are one of my top like non-starter types. So to see this added in there, I'm like, well, now I feel like I got to redo my team. Like, why do I have, you know, all these other Ghost Boys here?
Yeah.
If now you're Ghost Boy and Flame Boy, like, what's going on?
That's right. Yeah. So Michael Gibler wrote in defending Typhlosion. He says, sure, it's a big goofer, but its purple fire mane is cool. That's a good way to describe him. And he was talking about this. I hadn't seen him yet, so I was Googling it, and I genuinely had that moment of like, this must be fan art. This cannot be the new Typhlosion. Something's terribly wrong. But that's the sign of a good Pokemon design, I think, is when you cannot tell the difference between fan art and the official Game Freak design. Hey, we forgot to do the most popular thing with the deepest dive, which is, of course, most common comment. We collected hundreds and hundreds of comments from people over on Patreon, on MinMax's Patreon, about the rest of Pokemon Legends Arceus. And there were themes that bubbled up. So without spoiling anything, if we can, does anybody have a guess? Sarah, what do you think was the most common comment about the rest of Pokemon Legends?
Is it something about one of the boss fights or something about the just like the boss fight, like in that vein, maybe?
Okay, you need to be a little more specific, Sarah. It's too broad.
I don't want to be more specific.
Okay. Are we
just
talking
something about, the
noble,
boss fight?
like noble Pokemon boss fights?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Incorrect. Come on, get your head out of your ass, Sarah. Janet, do you have a guess for most common comment?
I like how you're like really hone in on this wrong answer.
Well, maybe that's a hint. Maybe that's a hint.
I'm going to go, my gut wanted to say like weird timeline stuff, but I feel like that, I'm not going to go with that. I'm not going to go with that, though. That I feel like you made a face. But I'm going to go with like the, like, oh God, there's a freaking proper name for these, but like the rideable Pokemon, like the mounts.
Yes.
I
okay.
think.
No. Although Sneasel is adored, so there are a couple comments about that. Kelsey, what do you think? Most common comment?
Is it about Melly? Because Melly's really annoying.
Really? See?
That's untrue. I like Melly.
I am a big Melly defender. Sarah, thank you. I'm glad you're with me.
Melly's the only one out here speaking their truth, okay?
Melly at least like has a personality.
That's true. But their personality is screw you all the time.
I feel the same way. You know, even when I lose a Pokemon battle, I actually won. So you're wrong.
Yeah, there were Melly defenders here. Who's this lovely person? Chris Gillar asked who our favorite and least favorite character was. For me, it's Ingo is my favorite and Melly for my least favorite. And like Melly, I just like it. And I was thinking about like, why do I like kind of the flamboyant Pokemon characters? Like, I think just like James, and it's just like feels like an evolution of that, especially with like the weird Skuntank that he has. Where he had a moment where he screamed, "Go, Skuntank! Show these louts the true meaning of silent but deadly." That's
a total James line. That's great.
Exactly. He's a real stinker. And, you know, again, it's like we talked about last time. It's just nice to have some personality for these characters. And at least he's like hostile towards you, which is something. But no, it turns out the most common comment was about the last big fight of the game. Not the fight you get if you get all the Pokemon, but the one that's kind of at the end of the end game stuff and what a challenge it was.
The big reveal.
Wasn't
that surprising?
Yeah, I'm trying to,
There's a few big fights, so you got to be a little more specific.
I know, I'm trying to section it off for
Hold on, this is the deepest dive. Are we really not allowed to
we
start?
are. But
this is what he wants to do at the end. But then why would you bring this up, though? Like, let's just pick this later. What's the second most commented thing?
No. I don't know. People like the slow walk out of town, I guess. But this is the end game fight, the final big end game fight where maybe somebody has 8 Pokemon. People were really into talking about that character and that twist and all that stuff.
I do have a lot to say about that.
Yes, we'll get into all that fun stuff. In general, I think we're all warm on this game for the first discussion, but Kelsey, what do you think in general just about the rest of the game here?
I'm still having some fun with it, believe it or not. So, I mean, I think I'll continue. I mean, honestly, I'm very addicted to just the loop of like trying to find shiny Pokemon.
Shinies, really?
Yeah, which I'm sure we'll get to. Not a productive way to play the game, but it's fun. Because they make it really easy in this game. They give you like a bunch of tools for it where it feels like a thing that you can go do and succeed just enough to keep wanting to do it.
What are the tools that they give you this time around for shiny stuff in particular?
The outbreaks are the big thing.
Sure.
So during an outbreak, there's a whole chart online somewhere that someone broke down, but so I'm going to butcher these numbers a little bit, but they're going to be pretty close to true. When an outbreak happens and you go there, and you don't have that Pokemon's Dex research stuff completed, I think you have like a 1 in 170-ish chance of encountering a shiny, which is like so much better odds than you've ever had.
That's
like normally
wild.
It's 1 in 8,000 or something crazy like that. And then if you complete the research, it bumps it down even more. And then I think with the shiny charm, I mean, I think you can get it all the way down to about a like 1 in 100 chance, which is just wild.
But still, that is so high. Like, somebody was screaming at me to go try and catch a shiny something while I was streaming it. And I was like, yeah, sure, I guess I will. And they're like, well, your odds are still 1 in 140 or whatever. And I was like, what? Like, that still seems astronomical. There's like 3 of them out here.
But in an outbreak, you get like 20 spawns of something.
Okay.
So you have essentially, I mean, this math doesn't actually work out this way, but essentially like a 1 in 5 chance to encounter one.
I see.
That's just enough succeeding to make you like keep wanting to do it.
What is it? Are you just hell-bent on collecting every shiny, or are you just curious like what they look like this time around?
Just kind of fun. I don't know.
I guess I should
It's like,
ask
oh, I
somebody.
got the rare thing. I win.
I realize that's the stupidest thing you can ask on a big discussion about Pokemon. I was like, yeah, but why do you want to catch them all? Like, what's the point? Really?
It's a dumb
I'm so busy
collectible.
catching up.
It's-
I didn't even think to. No one's asked me this before. Let me just uninstall the game.
But why play a video game?
This is like 2 steps away from that weird speech that Reggie Fils-Aimé gave at that 1E3,
Just
where he was
play
like,
the game.
"The game is the point. The game is a battle, and the battle needs to be won. If you can't win, why do you play?" If it's not a fight, and I'm like out here, like there's like a million games that don't apply in these things, like, and I feel like no one talked about that. Like I didn't get enough coverage. Anyway, that doesn't have to do with Pokemon, but that's where we're heading.
It's up there with Doug Bowser's acceptance speech for Metroid Dread at the Game Awards for Action Adventure, where he said, "It is truly an adventure, and it is truly action." It's like, what? It's terrible. Ricky Winterborn submitted a comment over on Patreon. I'm sorry. Mason Cowell submitted a comment over on Patreon. No offense to Ricky. We'll get to you. But Mason says, the addition of alpha Pokemon to this game was absolutely brilliant. Finding shinies is surprisingly easy, but hunting down alpha shinies is the true challenge of this game.
God.
Finding random shiny alpha Bergmite, Luxray, and Bronzong were all amazing experiences. That is
3?
That is ridiculous. I hadn't even
insane.
considered that alpha shiny would be an option, but of course that's going to be like the new cream of the crop,
I would
cool guy
love
move.
to like sit in the home of a person who like like the Pokemon are already kind of hard to catch. Like some of these Pokemon you really got to work for, and then they want to get a shiny of it, and then they want to get a shiny alpha of it. Like I just want to like get in your brain for like 5 seconds. Like where do you get the drive? Where do you get the motivation?
What is happening in there? Yeah, like it was
Like as
amazing.
opposed to what putting those skills to use
finish
on
the game.
something
Collect
useful.
your Pokemon. Yeah, like collect your Pokemon. You know, I don't understand like the drive to like, okay, but what if I got even more exclusive?
You gotta show up your
So
friends.
at least in this game for me, the appeal of the shiny stuff is that it's always been really, really hard. So this feels like I get to win.
Right.
And put in, 1/10 of the effort that I had to put in previously, but I still get to win. So I have 3 shiny birds on my team, and one of them came from you, Sarah. So
Yeah.
Which one?
I still have the Gardevoir you gave me. When you gave me that
nice.
Ralts, that's like it's 6 on my team, and it says from Kelsey.
oh,
Cute.
Oh, that's very cute. Yeah,
I have a Tangela named Bend.
Are you serious? Do you really?
Yeah, I caught a
That's very
Tangela,
cute.
and I was like, I'm gonna nickname this Tangela Ben, and then Sarah, I'm sorry to say
No!
that nickname. One of the Vidus, Sarah.
Perfect.
Wait, where am I?
I
Yeah,
gotta
she
find. What's
chopped
your
liver?
favorite bird? What, you said Pidgey for your favorite bird? I know. I haven't dug in enough. It's post game for me.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of Bidoof, before we leave the Bidoof train, nobody wrote in about it, but somebody shared this YouTube video in the Discord channel that's all about the deepest dive. And it turns out you don't need Basque Legion. Is that what the swimming thing is called? Mm-hmm. You don't need him to get across water because if you have a team of 6 Bidoofs, you can just pop them out of the Pokeball directly in front of you over the water, and then you can walk across them. So you can
Those
just
are
chain them.
Bibarels, but
I'm sorry, what are they? Or the
that's
evolution?
that's the evolution of Bidoof in that video.
Oh, thank
Ben,
you.
but but I didn't know you could walk on top of Pokemon with them.
Yeah, I love it. Like, it's not exactly Breath of the Wild style breaking the game at this point, but I still just seeing that the game at least has the potential to be broken in some fun, cool ways to get you to explore new areas early on.
I get one of the Mantines or something, like one of the Manta Ray Pokemon, and see if that, surface area wise, like maybe that makes more sense for traversing.
Yeah, that could be. I really like, I was curious how they're going to do the fights in the water, and I love that just they make a little like floating platform for all of your Pokemon to like fight out there. It's very cute. Tangela though, Janet, I'm so glad that you caught one. I was delighted by like that second area. You pop in there, the poison area, and it's just like, okay, here's a giant Tangrowth, so you know that Tangela has to be close at some point. And also, here's just Ghastlies as far as the eye can see. I'm like, okay, this is just my home. Now I'm going to get Haunter, going to get Tangela. But it really wasn't until I was streaming it that it turns out everybody can just correct you on everything you're doing wrong in Pokemon if you just stream it. It's genuinely fantastic. I'm not trying to be pissy about it. Like, it's amazing because everyone's like, oh, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing this? I genuinely hadn't even considered the idea of catching alphas. In my mind, I'm like, well, that's just not an option. Like, I assume it's just like they will just attack you and that's not going to be an option. But everyone's like, oh, no, you can just catch one. So I finally learned to overcome my fear of Tangrowth because I always thought he was just nasty. But I ended up catching the alpha and ended up using Tangrowth for the rest of the game. And I learned to love him and my alpha Haunter. Those two were side by side. It's just a hell of a team. I loved him.
Yeah, that's the thing is it feels like the game, at least in the midway point, if you want to progress through the story faster, you're kind of encouraged to like throw your Pokemon out and get alphas. And that bothered me a little bit because to me that's against the story of Pokemon, which is like friends forever, growing as a team, and I'm like, I'm done playing with you. Like, you're not high enough level, but this Alpha Gengar is level 77, so into the trash you go.
Totally.
I kind of felt that way too. Like and I'm interested to know like what y'all, like how y'all feel about like the difference in grind in this game is like the big thing that stood out to me. Like the leveling is still definitely relevant. Like you face like different, trainers or like it just any, if the Pokemon that are in the wild, like you'll notice, okay, well, this is level 50 and like maybe I should be level 50. There's definitely like gating in that sense or an implied gating, but like the real gating was from the like research levels in this one, which is like, I feel like the research stuff was all about, getting to know Pokemon and the world of Pokemon, and even like the tasks they give you are like can be like hyper specific, like dude, kill this, well not kill, but like beat, right? Like defeat this with this kind of move. And I'm like, okay, they're trying to remind me of like, this is a really good move against this kind of Pokemon. And I think that's really cool. But one thing that I struggled with in terms of grinding that out, like a lot of that progression happened naturally just playing, but I did hit certain points where I was a little under-leveled with research. So I'm like, okay, it's research hour. I felt like I had to like totally respec my team. I'm like, I don't really have a lot because like I would go for a lot of those research tasks that I didn't naturally get. They were like, see so-and-so do this move. And I'm like, okay, well, I have that Pokemon, so I'll just make them do the move. And that'll be an easy way to do that. I can like stack that a little bit. So I would re-scrub my whole team and have like this, but then it was like a weird one by one for me where I'd look and I'm like, okay, well, I want to see, this one do this move. So I'm going to walk to this guy. Like it felt a little clunky to me, like that process. But I do recognize that this is sort of their unique spin in this game where it is different than normal ones. But I felt like I had to kind of let go a little bit of how I normally play Pokemon. I don't know how I feel about that. On
the MinMax show, like Nicole and Odell that we had on as guests, they emphasized that as well, that like it encourages you to kind of ditch your Pokemon. I didn't really have that much. Maybe I just wasn't that focused on.
I also did not ditch my Pokemon. Like once I felt like I had a good team, I just kind of stuck with them. I see what you mean, because if that's the way that you want to get to research level 10 is with those tasks, then yeah. But I was always like, the other thing that you can do with just about all of the Pokemon is just catch a ton of them.
Yeah, totally. That's
or
what I
battle
did.
a ton of them.
Yeah.
So that was how I got through all of my research tasks. And so I never felt like I had to flip, Pokemon in and out. And I don't, but I get it. Like, if you are focusing on the Pokedex and especially filling certain parts out, because like you don't see every evolution in the wild, for instance, like you might have to actually evolve some of those yourself and do that, like change them out to do that. But that is the same as every other game. Like if you're trying to fill your Pokedex, you were going to have to pull Porygon out of your PC and like give him a floppy disk and make him evolve, so that I don't know. I do feel like it changed a little bit, but I felt like it gave you plenty of tools to avoid having to change your Pokemon around, at least for the research tasks. I agree with you, Sarah, that it does kind of encourage you to just be like, well, but that alpha Pokemon's way stronger.
Totally. But I feel like Pokemon already kind of does that, and this game definitely falls in that camp as well, which by the end game, when you get to that, and we'll talk about that a little later, but it gets to the point of like, well, I'm screwed if I don't have a team of legendaries. So even though I love my boys, like they gotta go away because now I need all level 70 legendaries just to try and put a dent in anything in this end game. So I feel like there's already kind of that natural pull of like, eventually Pokemon's all about slowly abandoning your dear friends, Sarah, and it's tough to get around that. I mean, maybe champions out there.
Here's my strategy. Let me describe my strategy.
Please.
Is I was using the grit stuff to do the EV stuff. That was a lifesaver. Because I was going in with like level 50 Pokemon against level 60 Pokemon, and we were like coming out on top. On dirt alone, I was rubbing them with dirt, and we got out. And I like beat this entire game using Blissey.
Really?
Because Blissey has like almost 600 HP.
What?
It can withstand death-killing blows. Like Blissey MVP. That is my ride or die bitch right there.
I need to do it. It's one of those things, again, of streaming it where just epiphanies would come through where everyone's like, well, of course, you have to just grind on Blissies. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, well, of course they give you the most XP. Like, I had never known that as a common Pokemon thing. Is that stupid, Kelsey? Is that like common Pokemon knowledge I should know by now?
It's, if you're really into, like, super into Pokemon, it's something you might know. But it's not like, no, I don't feel like that's, casual person would pick that up. I mean, it's been true even back in the early games that like Chansey was a tank of a Pokemon, like that had a lot of HP and gave a lot of experience. And so just sort of like logically that continues to go when it gets evolutions and stuff. But like, no, I don't know. I feel like in an environment like what you're talking about when you're streaming, like, of course, people are going to be like, how come you don't know literally everything about Pokemon?
Polite, but yeah, totally. By the way, somebody watching us live on Twitch jumped in and said, you can catch alphas? Like, they had no idea. Yeah, I feel like it's not very well encouraged.
I felt like some of the alpha battles were actually more challenging than the Pokemon battles, like against other trainers.
Totally.
Especially at the end. Not post-game, though. Post-game got a little bit harder, but like, I was struggling more catching alphas because it kind of felt like whoever shot first wins. Like, whoever shoots first wins, whoever's Pokemon's faster. So yeah, these alphas would just like grind through my Pokemon team.
I loved it, though.
It was actually quite challenging for like, it was an 8v1 and I was losing.
Yeah, it was awesome. Like, there was just coming across those alphas even later on in the game. I think it's like in the ice area, there's a Garchomp that I came across. He's like level 85. I was like, are you kidding me? But instead of being frustrated, I was just like in awe of, like, I love that the game is throwing something that scary in my path. It's just such a godsend for Pokemon.
Yeah, there's like actual stakes just in the natural world. Like,
yes.
I would agree that probably the exploration and trying to like go for certain things is often more challenging than like the mainline progression. I think especially because like at the end of the day, you can easily scrub through that stuff. I'm like, oh, I didn't heal before this battle. Oh, I died. Okay, well, I still have like 6 Pokemon. You have like 2, so it's fine, But like, I think, like, I remember like one of the earlier or like mid missions of getting, it was like one of the ghost Pokemon. It starts with a D, the one with one eye.
Dusclops?
Oh my gosh.
Go?
Yeah, the one that the guy was scared of.
Which like isn't inherently like that wasn't like, you know, a super hard thing by itself, but I got like ganged up on pretty bad, and I would just like trying to think of who do I target, like how do I go about this, okay, and then like, and I think just that experience of, you know, okay, this happens at night, like okay, let me go to my camp, let me get my stuff, like it just, I think this game does a good job at really immersing you in the world of Pokemon, while a lot of other games, it's I'm walking through a world that has Pokemon, and guess what? Someone made eye contact with me, which is all fair and fine. Like, I love those games. Like, I'm not trying to shade that experience, but after so much of that, it's been fun to, like, see the ways that just interacting with wild Pokemon can be engaging by itself.
Yeah, Ricky Winterborn is right there with you. He says, maybe it's because I've barely touched a Pokemon game in the last 10 years, but I'm pretty blown away by Arceus. I'm consistently excited about exploring new areas, but also get a similar fear of alpha Pokemon that I would in Dark Souls. Am I nuts? He says, trademark Hansen. Thank you. I get this weird thing.
You roll here too.
That's it. Mm-hmm. That is true. Yeah, like there's that weird pop-up where they have to explain invincibility frames and rolling. It's like, what a weird world for Pokemon. But yeah, just in case, you know, we forget to not bury the lead here, I really, really love this game. I had such an absolute blast. Like, especially some of the later stuff when you get all those different mounts, and it's just moments of exploring the world. And this is all I want from Pokemon game. I am so content. Like, I know there's probably 1,000 little things people can be nitpicky about, but I feel basically fully content with this as a Pokemon experience. I don't want to go back. This is just everything that I've wanted for so long. I was happy. They did it. They pleased me, the old-time fan. I can die happy at this point, officially.
I think that's a good way to put it, too. It's like there are lots of nitpicks, but none of them actually hindered my overall experience with the game.
Right.
Like there's plenty of small things that are wrong or could be improved, but like it's a good game. I had fun.
Yes, totally. It wasn't.
And that's the important part, right?
That's what it's all about. That's what we're gaming for.
Yeah, I think this is
game's
probably
good. What?
Yeah, this is probably the only Pokemon game where I have gotten even close to completing my Pokedex.
Really?
And I feel like that says a lot for the experience, because to me, like running back and forth in a blade of grass isn't my Pokemon experience. Like, I was more about the battles, my team, getting through like the final battles, like getting through the story. And this game I really struggled in the beginning, having to reframe what I was doing. So the early game, I think, is kind of a struggle, but mid to late game, it really starts to open up. And once you start kind of figuring out how you're supposed to be playing, it becomes a much more enjoyable experience.
Yeah, I've had a kind of a similar thing. Like, I think I was maybe warmer on it initially, but like even jumping back in after that, like initial 5 to like plus hours, depending on how long it took you to do the Cleavor stuff. And I spent a little time after that, like just trying to like level up a little bit. Like jumping back in, I'm like, okay, well, how do I go about doing this? And then I really got into the flow of, okay, well, I'm going to like be lurking. I'm going to like, scan, for lack of a better term, like these Pokemon. Then I'm going to think about what's their task. Maybe I'll like, okay, this one I'll catch, this one I'll battle. Like, and then just kind of slowly moving through that. But then also having the mounts are so wonderful because it just really gives you that freedom to like, I'm either going to run away from this because I don't want to do it, or I feel like just jumping to whatever the next plot point is. But if you don't use the mounts, it's like there's so much value in that too, because you're slowly like seeing the Pokemon appear. I think too, like the way they deliver it is so much cleaner than it was in Sword and Shield. Like, obviously they're still inherently poppin' in the sense that the Pokemon do appear and disappear out of thin air. But in Sword and Shield, it was like such an awkward, like, oh, well, we're just going to ignore that this is pretty rough to look at. And it's kind of like haphazardly stitched together in this little area known as the wild area. And here it just feels like the wild area really was realized here. And while I think there's definitely room for growth, and I don't think this is like the greatest open world of all time, it feels like, okay, they're actually fleshing out that wild area idea and giving us an immersive, interesting experience. And I could see myself going back to this one. Like, I probably put a lot of hours into Sword and Shield, admittedly. Like, I did love Sword and Shield, but this one feels just, I think Sarah nailed it. Like, it just feels fun to like play and walk around. Like, it feels soothing, almost like Animal Crossing. Like, I'm just walking around and I see new things and I encounter more battles, and it has a good loop to it, even outside of just the mainline experience.
Yeah, totally. I mean, talking about going back to Sword and Shield, I watched Digital Foundry's video that they put up a while ago about Pokemon Legends, and just in that video, they would cut back every once in a while to Sword and Shield, and it was like, oh God, it was just horrifying to go back and look like, this is what I was trying to console myself with and convince myself was a good Pokemon experience. But then the downside, It's solid. It's fine. I think it was like my number 8 game of the year.
Let's focus on us agreeing, Ben.
You're
Let's not
right.
go back
You're
to Sword and
right.
Shield.
This game is the best.
Game.
Yes.
You and I, we both like this. Like, we
You're
can
right.
just live now. This is our new reality together as Pokemon friends.
Starting now, we're in the end game of of our relationship and bonding. But in that same video, they also were just focusing on the amount of pop-in, and I acknowledged it. I think my expectations were just so low going in that I would see it while playing the game, but it never really bummed me out. But when they have a whole video just about the pop-in, and then what really killed me is then they started cutting between, and obviously it's not all one-to-one, but they're cutting between just the world from Pokemon Legends Arceus to the world from Breath of the Wild to the world from Xenoblade Chronicles 2 to the world from Monster Hunter Rise, like just showing other games on Switch that are open-ish worlds, and it was just like, damn it, yeah, this is really disappointing visually. But I think it's a testament to the loop and the overall game that I really didn't care. Like when you get Braviary and you're flying over areas and you just suddenly feel like a hawk looking for mice, just like cruising over the skies. It's like, okay, who's popping in? And then my favorite is just like the little move of like dropping down, letting go of Braviary, and then getting just above the ground and then popping it again just to soften your landing. Like that is all I need. That just felt so good. I was in love with it.
Yeah, I like jumping with the fish, like doing the double jump with the fish and then right into Braviary.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to get to the end game to like really start to feel the mobility of it. Other than that, it can be kind of a hike to get certain places.
Right, but
I didn't really start enjoying it until I got through the main story.
I even like...
No offense to the main story and those bosses, but...
I hear you.
They were testing me.
Paulo writes in over on Patreon and says, collecting and delivering other users' misplaced packages, scaling unwelcome rockscapes as Sneasel with a package in tow. Is this technically the second Strand game, Sarah?
Yes.
I don't know, but I don't know who Ava is, but she needs to stop dying in the field.
Yeah,
because I
Norm
picked
too,
up her
man.
package like 20 times.
Yeah, Norman
I had
Ava.
one package that was labeled Crypto Bros Satchel, and I just left it there. Like, I'm like, you're not getting this shit back.
That was a secret Super Bowl
That's
commercial.
someone on your friends list. Danny,
Is it really? Oh my
Yeah, you
gosh.
gotta reevaluate.
Reveal yourself. I honestly was really like, it's so funny because on Switch, this is like not related to Pokemon, but on Switch, I like have a bunch of friends because like the cap I think is really high. So I would just be like adding just random people, like who wants to just be like friends on Switch, like on like the NVC Facebook forum and stuff. So I have like a bunch of friends there, and on every other platform I have like 3, and it's like someone I have to do game capture with. My brother, like that's it. Like I'm not I'm like this is. I don't want to worry about any embargo, NDA, whatever. I'm like
Absolutely.
there's no real. It's all business everywhere else. On Switch, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, if you're a crypto bro, I don't know. I don't have anything to say to you. I didn't pick up your satchel.
The satchel thing, like dying in the field, really hurt me a couple times, especially by the end. Before I could buy max revives, I died and I lost my only max revive, which I really needed for some of that endgame stuff. And so I was like texting my friend who's playing like, hey, I dropped a satchel in this area. I really need you to pick this up so I can beat the game. But it was across the water and he didn't have the water mountain yet. So it was just like this frustrating thing of like, I need that satchel. Won't somebody? I wasn't to the point of texting you, Janet, but I was really on the fence. But then I
did get one of your satchels, Ben.
Was
Oh,
it?
really?
I don't know if it was that one.
So was it mine, because I only died once.
Oh, really? Very impressive.
I walked around with like the charms of like no fainting. I had 2 of those, and I would just drop from the sky.
Is that what
and
happens?
hit the ground and live. Yeah, if you get the charms of like not fainting or whatever.
Yeah.
You have to go through like the ringer to actually die. So I would just jump from my bird and take it to the face.
Yeah, I've accidentally. The only times I've died in this game were from accidentally dropping from the sky from Braviary.
Yep, that's a good time. Let's see. Jared Piers writes in and says, I thought it was a really weird and fun detail that you can see your character's eyes in the basket on Sneasler's back when riding it around. It looks so goofy. It was excellent. I always forgot that I even had Sneasler out as a mount because I was just so used to like walking around as him that I have moments of like, why can't I throw a Pokeball? Oh, that's right. I'm technically Sneasler right now.
When that moment happened, I was like, I feel like the bond you have with Pokemon is too strong. Like no one should be able to do this. Like this feels like this is like this is why everyone's afraid of you. You know what I mean? Like I felt like
crawling in the back. You mean crawling in the little package?
Yeah, like being in the little basket. I'm like, this is too crazy. This is why I'm ostracized from the community. This is why, that's why I'm eating a potato mochi with the same 3 people the whole game.
It's a lot of trust to put in a Pokemon you just met.
Yeah. Like, and even when Sneasel rolled up, because I'm not a big fan of like Sneasel as far as design.
Well,
so I was like, I don't want to be involved with this weirdo. And now I'm like in this basket. Like it was
now,
wild.
Yeah, going from not trusting him to becoming like he's your kangaroo mama. Like that is a really big stretch, I think.
But speaking of scaling places with Sneasler, I did see someone, like, apparently you can scale places that you're not really supposed to be able to scale if you just are constantly about to throw something.
Oh, really?
Like, you can just kind of keep walking up steep things. I mean, you can't go straight up, but you can go up, like, stuff that you normally could not get over.
That's amazing. It always felt like that, even before you got him. Yeah, it felt like the game was just janky enough where you can kind of get up these slopes. I'm glad that there's, like, an ironclad way now of just constantly throwing a Pokeball. Jared also writes in, P.S. First shiny I got was a Bidoof. So Sarah, if you want it, you can't have it because he's my special little boy, says Jared.
Okay, you can keep him. I don't want him.
All right, you sure? It seems cool. Jared writes in and says, not even close to beating the game yet, but I have to say they did the actual mount system right. Being able to not only swap on the fly manually, but having the game auto-transition your mounts between water and land is fantastic. That is unbelievable.
Yep. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It is really good.
Even just like little simple moments of, I was on the water mount and then like tried to jump over a bridge in the poison area and landed on top of the bridge. So you turn into Weird Ear for a second, then immediately back to the water mount. Like that is a level of convenience that over the last over 20 years, like Game Freak has never told me that they were interested in. Even just simple things on the mounts, like the fact that you can pick up items when you're on the mounts. There's still other RPGs where you can't do that. It's amazing that they were pushing so hard for just quality of life details. It's incredible.
I think too, like a real quick shout out for that as well. In addition to auto swapping them, when you are in the water and you have like the fish mount, right? Like that rideable. Yeah. You can also just hit A to like activate it, which I think is so smart and subtle because avoids like, I just like that they thought through the fact of what if someone doesn't have the right one selected, and since you do drown in the water, like just giving you, and then I'm not a fan of the whole you drown thing. I get kind of why, because you have them out and they don't want you just swimming into the abyss. Right. But I do like to give you a few seconds at least. Obviously, those few seconds might be a little misleading if it's your first time in the water. But other than that, you have a little bit of like wiggle room. I also like that they don't kill you when you drown either. Like that doesn't count as you losing your satchel, because I drowned a lot. I often could not cross the bridge properly, so I would just yeet myself straight into the lake. But that was all fine and well.
Yeah, I did have that moment of like when I drowned for the first time in the game. I was like, what if this just is like the canon ending? Is my character was transported back in time by God, and then he went off into a corner of a map and just drowned in a river and was never seen again. That should be my canon ending. Sorry, Kelsey, you're gonna say something?
Yeah, well now I have to like go back to where we were before we drown. We're like,
the quality of life
drowns us. Yeah. But no, I really do like the, in the water, it is kind of like a panic button, because they just know like when something happens like that, like you're not going to necessarily have the reaction time to be like, oh, I need to,
totally.
Okay, which mount am I on? And then press it. So they just kind of give you like that panic button. And then the same thing when you're near like a scalable wall too. It's just like, okay, you're near one, so like if you'd like to start climbing this, like we'll let you just go. Just press A, you're Sneasler now, you can just go. If you don't care about climbing this wall, like it's the right balance in between, like I'm glad they didn't automatically do like, oh no, you're Sneasler now because you're near a wall, because that would be annoying.
Right.
But instead it's like, if you mean to be near this wall, there you go.
And it's still like a little janky. There's still like a weird kind of flicker of like when it's popping on the screen as a prompt versus not, but it's totally worth it for the convenience. I'm with you. Owen McCarter writes in and says, is anyone else disappointed with Basque Legion and the water travel? The water is just flat and the strategy of hiding from Pokemon is just gone, making it really hard to catch the skittish Pokemon. It just turns into fighting all the water Pokemon. I love the game, but there are a lot of little things like this that feel really underbaked.
Yeah, it's also the only Pokemon that you can throw balls from, which is like you can't throw Pokeballs from the bird, and you can't throw Pokeballs from your deer.
Right.
Like that's the only one that you can throw Pokeballs from, and it's the only one that you can, I believe, target Pokemon from. So I'd be like, as Braviary, like flying really low to the ground, and I want to be like, what is that? What is that? Well, it's like, well, you got to stop. You got to get off. You got to walk around. So they're not fully, like the same conveniences weren't given to every mount, right? Because like I hate to use the bear. Apologies to the bear.
I'm with you.
But every time I have to get on it, I hate it.
Yeah, they could have given me, I don't know, 10 max revives every time I got on that bear and it'd still be like, yeah, but I just the stupid arrow thing. I'm sure there's amazing stuff if you really want to use him all the time, but compared to everything else, he's definitely the weak link.
I didn't really use him in the main campaign, but I think I'll use him when like time is not of the essence. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like he's a fun second string. Like I'm excited to just like dig up for items that I'm probably not going to use, that I barely know what it does because I only half read the description, and I'm like, do I feed this? Do I throw this? It makes the XP. I don't know. I just like getting things, and he's big and boofy. Like I like his design, but yeah, I mean, I think because you don't have those conveniences. And he's like so gigantic too. He just takes up so much of the screen, and he's so slow. And I'm just like, I don't, yeah. Like it was a fun moment, but he didn't stick around really very much.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the water real quick though, because I agree. I feel like the water, it really kind of misses the mark in this game, which is disappointing. I could live with the, like, you can only throw balls from some of your mounts, which is a weird decision, but it's fine. But the water is, like, it's hard to throw balls at most of those things. Like,
Did you know when you jump and aim with the Pokeball, it slows down time?
Oh, yeah. I noticed that on accident.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, if you do the double jump and aim with the Pokeball. But yeah, it is super. I had to battle all the water Pokemon. Like, I wasn't launching Pokeballs at those guys.
I had some luck with the wing balls, with the like lighter ones, and just aiming at the tops of their heads, but like it requires so much more work to actually hit a Pokemon with a Pokeball in the water, and that shouldn't be the case. Like that is a misstep, that it becomes just way more difficult to hit a Pokemon with the ball. Yeah.
I was more distracted in the water by what Empiric Unicorn brings up here, where they say, the way things go, quote unquote, 8-bit, when submerged in water, it made me think I had some compatibility issues with my graphics card. Then I remembered I wasn't playing on PC, but standard console hardware, not the best look. Yeah, the way that things looked when they were underwater was mind-boggling. Like when you see a Pokeball just under the surface of the water and it really looks like a Super Nintendo game, it is just bizarre, but I guess they're doing what they have to do to get this thing up and running, so I can't complain too much. Let's see. Dennis M writes in, and he says, am I the only one who is super disappointed with how the flying mount works? I was looking forward to it the whole game, and then it basically was a glorified glider. Why not just let me fly up instead of this overcomplicated landing on hills workaround? An endgame mount should be more satisfying than this. I liked it. I liked the glider mechanic. I like that idea of like landing every once in a while, then popping back up to glide a little bit more. It was almost like too powerful. I was in that glider throughout the entire endgame scenario.
I almost had too much power.
Yeah, my hands were shaking with how much power I had from this stupid bird.
I mean, I wish it would have been able to go up and down. I really don't see why it couldn't, unless they're worried that you're going to hit like the top of the skybox. But like, just tell me that I'm going out of bounds like you do everywhere else in the game.
Right.
So I don't quite understand the decision to be like an only glide down situation.
Maybe just
because it is annoying when you're like trying to get through some of the more rocky areas, like the highlands, where you're like constantly climbing, jumping.
Yeah, I hear you, but I think they're probably still trying to encourage you to stay on the ground in some capacity and still engage with the other systems, so you're not just flying around constantly. They want to kind of have a timer on it, so to speak, about having it constantly kind of slow down.
But isn't that the point of like getting it near the end, at the end? You know, like I feel like, I think it probably should be like as OP as you want it to be, because at that point you've already done that other work.
It's true. Did anybody else have a weird scenario where, did anybody try to get on the bird out on the volcano? And did you run into those weird walls? What is happening out there?
Yeah, I did. I got caught. It's the walls from Arcanine, the Arcanine battle. You get stuck in those invisible walls, because I was above the Arcanine battlefield when I got stuck.
Oh, okay.
And I'd accidentally like gone in somehow, and then you can't get out unless you go out like the front door. I don't know.
And then around the like actual the lava-y part of the volcano too, like there's a wall around that too. And I assume it's just because they don't have a way to like.
What are they worried?
They can't let you go into the lava because they don't have a way to like, haha, you're fine. We rescued you. Like, if you fall in lava, you're actually dead.
They don't
That's
have
interesting.
burning alive. Okay.
Exactly. I mean, that's my assumption for that.
I would have figured they would like fade to black, like and then just put you next to it.
Fade to red. Yeah. Because I'd imagine so many other people tried that though. Like you go to the volcano because you're trying to get out to that cave that's to the west. And it's like, well, the quickest way there is to do this. And it's just, which I thought maybe was Mr. Mime up to his old pranks again. Just like Joshua Duperoy wrote in. He said, hey, my favorite request in the game had to be the one where you track down Mr. Mime in the village and the game generates invisible walls you have to navigate through to reach him. Just brilliant, says Joshua Duperoy.
I didn't get that one yet, but a lot of the side quests have like little joyful moments. I got one with like somebody's Spheal kept like rolling down hills and I had to follow it and just watch it slowly roll.
Genuinely the funniest thing in this entire game was that Spheal going down the hill.
This sparks joy. Because you had like 3 times you just watched it like slowly roll past you.
Yeah, and then you bring it back to him, and then the end of the quest is you see this Spheal start to roll down the hill
and
again.
roll away.
Yeah, forget any writing. This is as funny as a Pokemon game did, is stupid Spheal rolling down a hill.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, I was talking about this earlier, like, with my boyfriend who had already beat the game, but, like, it's obviously not going to be, you know, narrative of the year. Like, Pokemon games kind of have a ceiling, and it's not, like, an incredibly high one, but I think as far as, like, side quests in this world goes, like, they feel... I think, again, just because the world itself and the game by design is throwing you into, like, the world of Pokemon as something that feels brand new and foreign, and you get to experience that as a player. Like, it feels like real problems that they would have, you know, like even like the photography guys gigs of like, hey, I think I saw this one here. Can you like the first one's a Bunnery, I think. And it's like, hey, can you bring this to me? Like, it's really cute. It's gonna do numbers, you know? It's like, it just feels really genuine. Again, I don't mean to imply that it's like masterfully crafted side quests or anything, but I think for what they are, which are like little errands and little chores that tie into the stuff that you already kind of would be doing, they have a bit of charm to them, and they feel like, you know, a shout out to longtime fans and people that might know more stuff about like the individual Pokemon and their stories or their habits or all those things. So I appreciate that aspect of it.
Yeah, Beat912, Trivia Tower champion, by the way, said, I appreciate some of the humor of the side quests. Asking a worried brother what his sister smells like. I don't think I got that one. So what the hell?
That's what you need the bear for.
Oh,
they like force you to,
that's right.
You don't have to
right.
use it, but yeah, that's what you need the bear for.
Okay. And then Spheal living its best life, rolling down hills, and the medic asking for a simple task of collecting only 100 medicinal herbs to a stunned room. I am ashamed to say I bought 100 from the shop to mark it complete. Hey, no shame there. Mason Cowell has unique thrills here, saying one of the best things in the game is that you can give the alpha Pokemon to villagers for the side quests. One woman wanted a Parasect, but I don't think she expected the house-sized zombie crab that she got. I go into her house every now and then just to cackle to myself. 10 out of 10 game. That's amazing.
Also, my goal is to replace all of the Pokemon in town with shiny versions of them because
oh my god,
they just continue to exist there, and that like that alone. Yeah, like the farm ones you can replace.
Oh yeah,
and
sure.
Yeah, so I think that's really cool that you can kind of affect your town even in just that small dumb way. And I think just giving alphas, and right now I have an alpha Steelix next to the farm and it's just like a building sized monster. And I love it. I love being able to do something even as small as that. Just be like, yeah, I put that there. Right. You could put a Geodude there, but no, I put a building.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that idea of like everyone in the town being so scared of Pokemon as well. And your solution to those, okay, what if I gave you a gigantic Pokemon that could kill all of you in seconds, though? I was expecting a little more from the town being built up. When that started to be a thing, it was like the scaffolding going up. I'm like, oh my God, I get to customize the town or just have some impact on it. But like, you know, at a certain point, a new house was going up, and then I went inside the house later, and it's just like, they just said some boring Pokemon stuff. There was no moment of like, thanks for building up our town.
Evolve?
Yeah, honestly, that's what it was. Yeah, I was like, oh, I want a little more of an impact, and just, I want to feel like I'm actually building this town.
The shops get nicer, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Like, once you complete the shop, it like looks really nice, and then I'm pretty sure that's it.
Yeah.
Did you know you can on the roof of the research building?
No.
Yeah, for the
I
unknown.
didn't. Yeah, to get that on. I was trying to throw balls from the outside. I was about to start crying. And then they were like, there's actually a door to the roof, idiot. And I was like, oh.
I'll be damned. On side quests here, Bed, Bath, and Bidoof submitted a comment over on Patreon saying the best side quest is The Sea's Legend. We need to read a book of the same name in Brilliant Diamond / Shining Pearl to learn how to make Manaphy appear. The book even mentioned the then non-existent Overquill as a quillfish with large spikes.
See, that's the one I'm stuck
good.
on. Like, once I had to start reading some absurd book to, like, figure out where a Pokemon is, I was like, I'm not finishing this tonight.
That was yeah, that one was bizarre. So what is the quillfish thing? Because that was one where I wanted to figure out what that quest was. Because I'm like, this seems like a bigger quest. Like when you get it from the chalkboard, they make a whole presentation about it. So I looked up online how to do it, and I was like, this cannot be right. This must be a typo or
That's
IGN.
how you know it's right.
Yeah, IGN must be messing with me. So Case Mulder writes in about it and says it's a pity not all the evolutions can be found out from information within the game. From the friendship mechanic, which we were just supposed to know from, what is this? Previous games? I don't know. There's a typo. Or maybe I wrote in accidentally. The point is to downright silly things like giving Ursaring a peat block during midnight or using strong style barb barrage 20 times for quillfish. I don't know how they expect you to figure these things out without Googling. They could be cool puzzles within the game, but now it just feels cheap to look it up.
I feel like
Or
that's
like an
always
NPC.
been the case.
Yeah?
No, I feel like there's usually an NPC that gives you a hint somewhere. And maybe there is in this game and I just haven't seen it. But
like, I feel like and maybe I don't know. I'm thinking about like the Sword and Shield hints, like the hint for like the freaking one that looked like vanilla ice cream was something like it likes to be. Oh, there was like a Pokemon where it's something like they like to be upside down. You have to turn the switch upside down. Like,
Oh, really?
that's a squid.
and obviously that's better than nothing, but I feel like that's still pretty close. It's pretty close to not much, which I don't know. I guess it's tough to say. I feel like I have accepted that because like that is the way of the Pokemon world, but maybe I shouldn't accept that. I always ask myself that as someone who's played the game since I was a kid, like, and you know, not all of them, but like a good amount of them.
Yeah.
Like, what would I feel about this in isolation? And should I try to connect with that imagined self more?
Yeah, I trying to complete the end game because I got so close to the end game, and then it was like you didn't find all the Pokemon, and I was like, okay, let me like go through my Pokedex, like see if I can figure out some of these, and I had to like do research. Like I have a Pokemon hit list of Pokemon that like I am trying to get because it's legit. Like the bear one is like the peat block in a full moon, so you gotta, and they don't tell you when there's a full moon. You gotta keep sleeping. You gotta sleep, you gotta sleep again, and then you gotta stare at the moon in the sky. And it like, it's kind of driving me a little bit insane, because I don't know where I would learn this stuff in-game.
But I think
Is that for Ursaluna?
Yeah.
It's so wild to me because, like, you have seen one, you write it.
You write it, but it's not yours.
Why does it not at least show up in the Pokedex and, like, have someone explain any of that to you?
yeah.
Weirdeer's the same. You have to use, like, Psy Shield Bash 20 times in Agile style.
What?
So you have to get a Stantler, make sure it knows Psy Shield Bash, and then use it Agile style 20 times.
Honestly, though, it seems silly, but this is too much nostalgia talking. But like, if I was on the old schoolyard and somebody told me this stuff, it would be the coolest thing. Like, it goes back to the old rumors about Red and Blue, about catching a Peekaboo or catching Mew. Like, there's so much of Pokemon, missing number, obviously, that is just kind of that bizarre, weird, quirky stuff. So I kind of love that they do bury some of that in, where it's like, well, if you want to be really
I just
hardcore.
wish I could figure it out myself.
Right.
Like, I feel bad that I have to, like, Google everything, because there's no way I would figure this out.
No.
Unless there's, like, one NPC in the middle of nowhere who just, like, says it.
Right. It
Is
must
there
be-
a strategy guide for this game? Like,
No, I've just been using, like, Googling.
well, no, I'm just curious if there is. I mean, they get made so infrequently now for games, but
Really?
occasionally there still are strategy guides that are printed. So I don't know.
And I don't think cherubies exist.
I know.
I think that everybody's gaslighting me into thinking they exist.
Yeah, Sarah.
I've never seen one.
I still haven't seen one.
And even if I did, I wouldn't believe you.
I have
and
bad
I
news.
heard that they patched that, and I still haven't seen one.
Really? Yeah,
So-
bad news because I found one immediately. It just jumped out of a tree on me. Of
course you did.
God, Ben.
But then I was
God's
streaming.
favorite. Look, everybody. God's favorite's back.
Ladies and
yeah,
gentlemen,
bad.
God's favorite, hello. It jumped out of a tree at me. And then I was like, oh, okay, I'll use a move. Maybe I'll try and make it agile style. If I catch it, I catch it. Nobody killed it immediately. And chat exploded like, what have you done? I was like, whatever. Like, if I need it, I'll find another one. But everyone was losing their minds. And now I understand because so many people wrote in talking about how it's a nightmare trying to catch this stupid thing. But I don't know, just
Yeah, I've been trying to catch a Cleffa. So I've just been flying back and forth every night to the same spot. And this is why I could never be a shiny hunter. Because I did that for like an hour and I was ready to end it all. I was like, you know what? I don't need it. I don't need to finish the game.
now end it all. You're talking about your life or just the game?
We'll never know.
Okay, there we go.
In that heat of a moment, I could have done anything.
Hunter Sachs writes in and says, this might be my favorite use of the friendship mechanic to evolve Pokemon. Using an Eevee to collect resources from trees and rocks till it's ready to evolve feels earned. It's a subtle thing, yet it's the first time I actually did feel connected to my Crobat. Okay. Using an Eevee to collect resources? Is it, they're saying in general, is that something weird and specific that I'm not picking up?
They're saying in order to build friendship, you can just throw your Eevee at trees and stuff.
Gotcha.
That's how you make friends with people, you throw them at trees.
I think so. Yeah, that's the way it works. Kevin Cooper writes in, says, my absolute favorite thing is that Pokemon that you would normally have to trade to evolve now, you just need a linking cord, which is such a great callback to the original games. That is lovely. I didn't use it. I traded with old best friend Ronnie so I could give him an Alakazam, but that was about it. But did you guys do a lot of trading?
No, I
Not
was
yet.
just using the resources.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a little bit because I didn't know about the linking cable at first. So like the first time I got a Kadabra and a Haunter, I was like, okay, let's just, and a Graveler too. I was like, let's just real quick, like back and forth with a friend. And and then later I was like, oh, you don't need people.
That's the lesson of this game. BeatenDownBrian says, I've loved this game for all 50 hours I've played, but collecting the wisps and waiting for distortions to appear have been down moments for me. On the other hand, I was way too happy for a Munchlax outbreak and finally catching Togetic and Togekiss after wasting mini jet balls. Yeah, the wisps thing, I didn't really bother with it. I kind
of like the wisp thing. I've been able to get most of them without help, especially with the bird, because you can see them from like a mile away.
Right.
But yeah, the space-time distortions, or as I call them, the STDs, are time-based. So there's like no way to get them to appear. You just kind of have to wait. And a lot of the Pokemon that like I need, I can only find in like space-time distortions.
Oh, okay.
So you're like, you need to go to specific locations, and then there's only a chance that they're going to appear in the space-time distortion. So you kind of just have to wait.
Yeah, I think that's just the downside of trying to min-max Pokemon or trying to catch them all, because like playing through the story, every time they'd pop up, it'd be like, great.
They're locking part of the story behind me. God will not talk to me, Ben, until I complete this Pokedex.
Sarah, I don't want to spoil anything. I watched a YouTube video of God talking to you, and it's not exactly...
Are you kidding me?
Revelations.
I'm like, really? This is the hardest I've ever tried at a Pokemon game.
Sorry, I mean, it's amazing. You got to keep trying.
Now I'm getting like flashbacks to, was it if you complete Super Mario Sunshine, they just give you that stupid screen that says, thank you for playing? Like, what a slap in the face.
Yeah, but it's
I hope something like that doesn't happen.
But imagine if God said thank you for playing. Wouldn't that feel a little bit different?
It's a static image.
Yeah, the first time that the space-time distortion popped up, it was amazing because I just jumped in there and it's like, okay, here's an Eevee, which I haven't seen yet. And then here's a Porygon, here's a Heracross, just like 3 cool, unique ones just right in my face right away. So every time I saw one, I was delighted. I'm glad I'm not annoyed by tapping my toes and waiting for more to pop up. Let's see. Boy, we got so many places to go. Kelsey, where do you want to go? Thematically.
Let me consult my notes.
Please.
Here's a very random small thing.
Yeah.
But have you guys run into any of the Misfortune sisters randomly out in the wild?
Yes.
No, somebody said that happened. I haven't seen that yet.
That happened to me, and I was like, I don't even really want to battle them. I don't care, but I was just delighted that is a thing that's in the game.
Yeah.
It's like the tiniest little bit of like kind of Rockstar game energy where it's just like a random thing might happen somewhere if you're just kind of cruising around. And I wish there was more of that. I wish there was a little bit more of like a random chance. I don't even know if it's random. It just felt very random to me.
I think it must be.
I kind of wish they had a bigger role.
Yeah, I thought they were going someplace.
I like them.
I think that when the town, this is how I would have written it.
Please.
Pokemon Company, take note. When you get thrown out of the town, I would have loved for you to like fall in with them and figure out why they all left their clans, why they left the Galaxy team.
Right.
I was like, what will I do? Oh yeah, I'll just go live with the bandits.
Yeah.
And then they didn't let that happen. I had to go live with some uppity European lady. But like, I
You
wanted
attack
to live with the
Cogito one
bandits.
more time. Yeah,
It's like
and
it's been a
also
waste of characters. They were just kind of annoying. Like they were just there to like be one more Pokemon battle.
they were there long enough to make me really miss Team Skull. You know,
Yeah, I was
like,
thinking about Team Skull
their
as
beautiful
well. Even
music.
though they're also like, but that's Pokemon, right? It's like this campy, like, group of misfits that are out to get you. Like, I felt like they tried to capture that here, and I don't know how successful they were in that.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked how hokey, like, their names were.
Yeah, if you gotta give it up to the
on coin.
localization
I'm like, that's
for
so
Misfortune.
dumb. Let's
yeah.
go. Who's next? Who else is here? Who do we
Yeah,
got?
they were fun. They were fun. I feel like, I don't know, maybe, I was going to say the reviews didn't talk about it, but then I realized I don't think I watched a single review for this game. But it seems like,
That's never stopped anyone from making that claim.
Yeah, you're
so
right.
just go ahead, Ben.
yeah,
Everyone else on the internet does
I
it.
lit up Easy Allies in the comment section for the review anyway. No, but it's weird, like how many threads are just left dangling? Like every large story thread is just a 0 as far as I can tell. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't, because I haven't done literally everything in the game yet, you know, I assume that some of these get tied up eventually, but it is like, that was one of them that I felt would be resolved by like normal end game. Was like, at the very least, you'd like learn why they left and maybe like they'd go back in or, you know, they'd just be like accepted as their own clan and maybe not bad guys anymore, or just, I don't know, anything. But that one just kind of doesn't come up. And I don't know. I hope some of these get resolved at the end, but it's kind of disappointing that some of them may be gated behind catch literally every Pokemon.
Even then, unless there's stuff that I didn't see in this YouTube video, I don't think it is. I think it's just a lot of it is left ambiguous. Like the fact that even just the big wrap up for like these feuding clans are just like the Diamond and Pearl clan leaders on top of the mountain just being like, you know what? We should get along. And then they shake hands. It's like, that's really it? That's what the storyline's been building to?
And the fact that like they're okay with the fact that like you captured their deity and essentially put it in a petting zoo. Y'all should be more upset. Like I'm gonna charge you to come see your god. I'll be $5, please.
It's also just wild to me that like I felt like they were pretty immediately accepting of like, oh, we were both right. There's 2 gods. Great, whatever. Like,
I would have started a crusade, a whole war immediately.
Well, you would think because the entire time they've spent that whole time saying like yours is false.
Right.
Yeah.
They'd get theirs and they'd be like, yeah, Dialga's the real one and Palkia's this like false god thing. Like, how dare you? But instead they're just like, oh, there's 2 of them. Cool.
That makes total sense. Like, okay.
It's really beautiful. Let's see. Hoots writes in and asked, what do y'all think of the horse Palkia or horse Dialga?
I hate it. I hate it.
It is horrifying.
That's why I chose the Diamond Clan. I was like, I am not.
Well, look, even with the Diamond Clan, like you get to see that thing. And then did you all fall into this trap too? Of like, then you fight, for me, it was Adamant because I chose the Diamond Clan.
You chose the good clan.
I guess so. But then you fight him and he gives you some magic stone you can use on your guy, and it turns them then into the freaky horse version. As far as I can tell, there's no way to go back. And like, it's just a gross 4-legged version of this monster.
I made a mistake.
It truly, and he has like
so off-putting. Is
Why
it
are they
because they're
so
just they feel
small?
underdeveloped a little bit? They're just like sticks in the ground. I don't know. But something about them's not right.
I don't like how big they are either, because every time I get into a battle now, I need to like run back just so I can see it actually framed in there.
Use your legendaries.
Oh yeah, mine are thrown on the farm.
Yeah, mine are in the pasture.
They live on the petting zoo. And
I slightly judge you knowing that you use legendaries.
I didn't want to, but what did you do? Weren't you just getting annihilated by the end?
No, because I had Blissey. I had tank Blissey.
All right.
Well, okay, Ben, were you using the rocks and the gravel?
Were you using your grit?
How dare
Ben,
you?
were
This
you-
is the
were
deepest
you-
dive. Yes, I was rubbing dirt on all my Pokemon. I did everything. But, I did rub a lot of dirt on my Haunter, and then it turns out there's an Alpha Haunter that came along, so I kicked him to the curb. So maybe I wasted some dirt along the way. There's those situations.
You know what, Ben? There's no shame in having to shake it up because you can't do it. I've been
Thank
there
you.
with
Thank
I think
you.
it was Alpha Sapphire, where I had my team. I think I stubbornly too. I had an unevolved Shroomish. Shroomish this is an unevolved version.
Yeah.
I love Shroomish. I love the design. I didn't like the evolution version. I'm we're rocking together forever. It's Shroomish for life. But man, that thing got murked so bad. I was it's time to just have the sellout team. But then the thing that keeps me in fear from doing too much of that is Pokemon loves to be here's let's all take a picture. I'm no. Crop, put you be on the end. You're not
Right.
really a part of this team.
You're not a part of this
You're
team.
the ringer. This is when we have the, the lawyers we have our basketball team, but you bring someone who's not part of the law firm because you can't hang. That's what it is. And I like to be able to hide that shame so that when I capture my memory, no one has to know.
Smart. Yeah, Chuck Emmett writes in and says, who ended up on your post-game team? Did you keep the team you had or just switch it out for the legendary? So for me, before the post-game stuff, before it really got down to it and I had to buck up and find some backup options, my team was Dialga, which, look, I wasn't proud of it, but I wanted to use it, even for the end stuff, even before the end game. Then Tangrowth, Haunter, Samurott, Rampardos, which was my first time using him, because it was a tough call between him and Scyther, but I was you know what, let's go for something new. I'm going to use this weird Rampardos guy. And then Gyarados was in there. My sweet Gyarados baby. Does everybody have their team on the tip of their tongues? Anybody want to share?
Yeah, I had Lilligant, Gudra, Blissey, Gardevoir, Alpha Gengar, and then a Spheal that I refused to evolve over my dead body.
That's
that was
amazing.
that was my ride or die.
That's amazing. I didn't even know the first 3 Pokemon you listed. What are they again?
Lilligant, that's the one.
Oh,
she's
the
one
flower,
that,
the
kicks
dancing
you.
flower. Yeah, that one was cool. I liked its style.
Oh, the dancing flower.
Ah, yes,
Gudra's the weird icky dragon where he's kind of melty.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Oh,
He's cool.
Yeah. And then Blissey, who
Well,
honestly
Blissey,
MVP, she got me through this entire game. She has 598 health.
Oh my god.
So she can take hits to the face. Gardevoir, just because
Yep.
I love Gardevoir.
Yep.
My Alpha Gengar, who, we've been through it together quite a bit. So he got to stay. He was a little squishy toward the end because it's if you get hit first, it's just kind of over for you.
Totally.
So, and then I had my Spheal,
I love it.
my perfect precious boy.
Does somebody else know what they had by the end?
Yeah, mine I managed to get a 5 out of 6 bird team, which is a very difficult way to play Pokemon.
You're
by the
not
way.
a lot of
Jeez.
Yeah, I could get a Braviary in there and make it 6 out of 6, but I'd be out of options at that point and be losing a lot of battles. So I have to keep my Raichu in there to sort of even some stuff out.
Solid.
But I've got Decidueye, Honchkrow, shiny Staraptor from Sarah. Thank you.
Look at that.
A shiny Empoleon and a shiny Golduck.
That's really cool.
So-
Ooh, shiny
Nice.
Golduck.
It's still pretty well rounded for being all birds.
It's I get through it. The typing in this game, the move pools in this game are just
Huge.
vastly nicer to you
Yeah.
than they
Totally.
are in any other Pokemon game. I mean, most of my guys can learn 4 different move types, and that's kind of huge. That gives me a lot of coverage that I would not otherwise have with this team.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's
I had
yeah.
Haunter. I don't have it in front of me. I had Haunter. I had Typhlosion. Was very apparently very controversial to have Typhlosion
A little bit.
involved at all. Golduck. God, who else? I
2
had
Golducks.
Yeah, I forgot the other ones, but I find it funny that I had some of the ones that y'all also had. I don't know. They just felt like what was there.
Here's
I found this on the ground and I took it home.
Yeah. Well, I felt kind of basic with the team I was building because they were all ones that I most of them were ones that I very easily recognized. Is also why I only remember the ones that are the basic ones. But I don't know. I guess I'm a creature of habit. I'm I know
Totally.
these are people I know. These are Raichu I think was there as well. It's just these are the people I know. That's it. That's
I
the team.
understand that, but I always fall into that groove. And I need to really shock myself and look at myself in the mirror and be like, no, this is a new Pokemon game. You need to change. You can't just keep using Scyther over and over again.
One thing I have fun doing that like I'm excited to do like now that I have, I don't even know if I'm going to try to complete the decks. I think I'm not going to put any pressure on it, but I like to make these like fun little themed teams, like a team of all cute Pokemon or a team of all like whatever kind of type. So I think one thing that could be fun for you to do, Ben, I don't know if it'd be too getting in the way of any post-game stuff you actually want to accomplish, but like a team of all Pokemon that you've never seen before, I think would be a fun one to do.
Yeah, just like, okay, here's, I wrote down some ones.
Team Rando, you know?
Like Wormadam and Mothim. When I came across those, I'm like, these aren't real Pokemon. There's no way. It's like, okay, turns out. That would be fun. Here's a hot take. Maybe boring. Sarah, you're the judge. You need to tell me if this is boring. Is Golduck the Gen 1 Pokemon that feels most like a Gen 2 or later Pokemon? Do you know what I mean?
Golduck?
It feels weird. I always like Golduck, but it's a weird fit for Gen 1. It doesn't feel like iconic the way other Gen 1 Pokemon feel. Is there anything to that?
I guess I'm not too attached to Gen 1.
Oh,
Pokemon.
really?
Probably as much as you are, but that's a weird to single out Golduck.
That is a weird one to single out. I'm not. I don't not see it, I guess. But if he doesn't feel, I feel like in order to actually dispute this, I need to come up with a Pokemon that feels weirder.
That's what I was looking at already. I'm like, who's the weirdest person here?
There are
just kind of. And to be fair, I like Golduck. Like he's been one of my favorites. He just feels like a later design sensibility type of thing.
Bellsprout's a little weird.
Okay,
like, I don't know.
Sure,
like, you know, again, these are all kind of normie Pokemon, right?
It's really hard for me to remove anyone from Gen 1 and be like, that's not Gen 1. Like, that feels impossible.
Fake Gen 1.
That's where it begins. So just everything feels very...
Jinx, I feel like.
Well,
that was a weird moment in time.
Jinx can only be in Gen 1, because after that, they were like, we're not doing this weird shit.
Mr. Mime, maybe, for less controversial weirdo? Like,
Yeah, I guess. Okay, that's fair.
Though one thing I will push back on, though, is I don't want to too much feed into the narrative. Like, I don't want anyone to think I'm a Gen 1er, okay? Like, where these people who are like, oh,
that'd
the
be
Pokemon
horrible.
designs.
Wait, are they like
now.
the boomers of the Pokemon universe?
And I'm like, they never made sense. Ditto's a blob of goo. Like, this isn't real.
Well, you
Ditto
have
had
like a
dignity.
Pokeball with eyes and a seal named Seal. Like, it's not like they came out the gate just,
and that game is literally just a snake smelled backwards. Like, we
good.
were not,
Exactly,
this is not a bastion of creativity.
Yeah. I know this is Gen 2. I think it's Gen 2, but I liked in this game, like, coming across Pseudo Widow, and every time you would, like, miss the Pokeball, just, like, run and, like, turn its back and just try and look like a tree. Just, like, do a weird pose.
Like,
that was really fun to see in 3D.
There were a lot of Pokemon interactions in the wild. I don't know if you saw those videos, but if you get injured around not Blissey. What's the one before Blissey? Chansey. If you get injured around a Chansey, the Pokemon will run towards you and look concerned.
No.
So, like, if you drop out of the sky from your Braviary near a Chansey, it'll, like, run towards you. And then I was feeding Spheals because I just like to feed Spheals, and if you feed Pokemon, it counts towards your Pokedex level, research level. And so I was just, like, throwing food at them. And then one, like, started following me, but I legitimately can't tell if the pathing was just bizarre, because that's what this game kind of is.
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell if something's, like, intentional or not, but I'll, like, pretend that was the reason.
It absolutely was. Oh, they knew exactly what they're doing. Samuel Hall writes in, he says, this game made me chuckle when I found the hot spring in the Alabaster Icelands. If you fall into it, you will find a couple of Machoke taking a bath in it. And these are not aggressive, as opposed to all other wild Machoke in the game. It's just a fun detail I didn't expect.
Cool.
They're
they
cool
come up
guys.
to you and they start to flex on you.
I love
the
that.
Machoke will literally come up to you and then just flex, and you're like, I appreciate you. Everyone else here is really mean.
Rory Sublet wrote in and said, I love the thought placement into which environment you'll find Pokemon in, like Magikarp being at the bottom of a waterfall and Gyarados being at the top. But my favorite is what I've been referring to as Muscle Beach in the Cobalt Coastlands. It's a beach area teeming with Machops and Machokes out there flexing. I did not think about that, but that's perfect. Of course that's what they're going for. Fork asks, what was your favorite Pokemon habitat you noticed? Personally, I love the hot spring. Machoke's chilling in it. I also thought the Alpha Blissey patrolling an area filled with healing plants was really clever. There we go.
Yeah,
Even more of a
that's good.
connection.
I feel like it's kind of ugly, but like the mucky, muddy area, I enjoyed.
The poison one?
I know. I'm the worst, but I did like it. It was the first one that like really stuck out to me as like, I guess being interesting in the sense that I think the Pokemon were obscured in a different way. Obviously, you see that again with like the water, but I enjoyed the novelty of that element of it.
Yeah, the hippopotamus, whatever his name is, yeah.
I've got two things. There's like a little field of flowers that's got some like Budew and Petals and stuff in it that I really like. Just little flower area, and it's got the flower Pokemon in it. And then there's a couple little areas. I don't know how many of these you guys have found, but like you'll have one Piplup spawn in this specific area right by a little, kind of spring kind of thing. And then there's one Turtwig that'll spawn in a specific point. And it's like those little areas are really cute. And I don't know, they feel kind of special to find because you're like, oh, that's the one that spawns on this map. And it's in like its own little cute environment.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Captain Cobblepot asks, what DLC would you like to see? For me, a Stark Mountain area would be awesome. Is Stark Mountain something he capitalized?
I feel like we've had a lot of mountains.
Yeah, we had the Highlands here. It's kind of tough.
In terms of a new area?
Apparently that's from Sinnoh. Stark Mountain is a thing. I just immediately would think of, or from, Diamond and Pearl, I guess. But I immediately think of just like Pokemon Snap. So it's like, maybe like a desert or river, like that type of area might be kind of cool.
I just wish there was somehow populated areas.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like the Diamond and Pearl clan layouts are just like 5. That's what I really liked about Pokemon was going from city to city and seeing how they were all different. Like the city in Sapphire where they all lived in tree houses, Sapphire and Ruby, where I was like, that blew my mind as a kid.
Oh, I love that area.
You're like not getting it in this game because it's more about like the natural environment. So just give me an environment that I can like actually with like buildings. I want buildings.
Right.
Because like every cave was a round circle. Every ruin except for that one really big one was kind of just like an open shoebox in a way.
Right.
So just something with a little more detail would make me really happy.
It would also be cool if I don't know how they would handle this, but it would be cool in that Pokemon Snap vein if there was a way to go underwater and see some Pokemon underwater.
Totally.
Like that doesn't have to be its own area, but just like if there's a water area that you could go down and see, like there's some Pokemon among the like seaweed and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be surprised if they didn't do that for DLC. This feels like a pretty easy game just to add a new area, right, Janet? You're wincing.
Well, the only thing is like the idea of the Pokemon Company creating a world where I'm swimming underwater.
Well,
like, I don't know.
Yeah, at least some new above ground area.
Horrible idea.
Yeah.
Because like when Kelsey, when you described that, I'm like, so Horizon Forbidden West, because that's like a kind of a little shtick in like how that game is designed and like some of the novelty there, which there is some cool like elements to that. I think even just conceptually. But I mean, why not? Let them give it a try. What's the worst that can happen? Like, it'll probably be free with Nintendo Online, so that's fine.
Or even they just give us one new area and it's just Rainbow Cloud from Pokemon Snap. And you just go up there with your Braviary.
That's too much.
Yep. Have the same music.
Send me straight to space.
That's right. We've already met God. Is space that outrageous? Sean Mills writes in over on Patreon. He says, I was disappointed my favorite Pokemon Ditto wasn't in the game. I think it would have been cool to have a Pokemon Go style mechanic where there's a chance that certain Pokemon you catch can be Ditto in disguise. I'm also really surprised that the 3 original starters aren't in the game at all. It would have been amazing to see an Alpha Charizard walking around. That is crazy they withheld from that.
That would have been cool.
I mean, that seems like maybe a sequel or maybe DLC. It feels like they're holding back. They're fighting with one hand behind their back here whenever they whip out those 3 starters.
Yeah, if
again.
anything, like this game has made me a lot more excited for the future of Pokemon.
Oh, yeah.
Than any other Pokemon game has. So like total props to them for that. Like now that I know what you can do, I feel like I'm being greedy because I'm always like more. Yeah. More, please. Like more Pokemon, more places to go, please. More.
Do you think, Sarah, right now, if you had to envision your future, will this game be your number 1 game of 2022?
I don't see it happening. Because I know people are like, oh, we can't be too nitpicky, but I am kind of a nitpicker, and I don't know that this would. I wouldn't like. I don't feel like I would like go to blows over this game like I would for some of the games that I did last year.
It feels more like a guilty pleasure than a
It's
solid
kind
game.
of like more of like that was a fun experience and I really enjoyed it, but I'm not going to fist fight someone over it.
Right. But just so you know, I mean, I would fight
Are
somebody
you gonna
with
fist fight
you.
me over this game?
No, I want to like go back to back with you, and then we can fight other people, and we could make this game #1 for MinMax. I really enjoy the hell out of it.
Is it your game of the year right now, Ben?
No, I think that's still probably Nobody Saves the World. But this is damn close. It got closer than I was expecting.
So what is it, February, and you're already creating fake fights that you're not invested in?
Yes.
Why do we have to do this every year?
I'm sorry. You're right. It's time for peace and love until we get to the end of the year.
I think it'll be in our 210. I think there's a good chance it'll be in the 210.
Of course it's
It
gonna
might
be
not be in the
210s.
top 5, but it will be in the lower 5 for sure.
Yeah, I think that's
I don't
about
know.
right.
I mean, this was like pretty good to great to like, I'd probably leave it great, honestly, but I think it's
Religious epiphany.
it is like a really fun shakeup that was much needed. I don't necessarily need this to be like the new established formula. It kind of makes me honestly curious as to what other ideas or innovations they could create. Like, I kind of just want to see them like freestyle some stuff, because I do feel like if they build on this, we'll kind of end up in a new, it'll get stale eventually still, which maybe that's okay. Maybe you can just kind of like have one thing run its course and then whatever. But I'm kind of just curious as to like what other worlds they can construct with these kind of, if they made this as mainline, like what other weird mainline things could they do? Like, I'm a little more curious about that than seeing like Legends 2, because I worry Legends 2 will be very similar to this one in a way where it'll feel like, okay, well, this is still great because I like this one, but now we're kind of getting back into like a comfortable position.
I think my biggest fear with Game Freak moving forward is they're going to come up with some, head up their own butt, indulgent reason why they can't carry forward some of the mechanics. You know, that idea of like, well, we can't bring forward this gameplay loop that everybody loves because in modern Pokemon games, people aren't scared of Pokemon. So you can't have alpha Pokemon. Therefore, you can't have this. I feel like they're going to get wrapped up in some stupid lore reason. This is my fear. And that's why they can't bring forward some of these great ideas and systems. It's like, I feel like they might try to make it too region and time era specific for this game, you know?
I actually think it's less that and more that they do have to cater to the competitive crowd. Like that actually isn't going to go away. And so if there's a blend of this and a normal Pokemon game going forward, like it's going to be with that in mind. So, I mean, I would be happy to explore a like more normal Pokemon game where we can still just kind of do the like crouching and catching things from, like if we still have some of the exploration and we still have the ability to catch things without fighting them and all of that. I think even just that goes a long way in terms of shaking it up. It's maybe not enough, but like you do have to, the competitive people I think are who are just consistently spending a lot of money on Pokemon stuff, and you can't shut them out.
I don't want to be one of these people that's
it's a hard balance, because like all of the things that I liked about this game, Kelsey like mentioned, like Pokemon can't hold items, like you don't have to EV train. So it's like they took the competitive aspect out of it, and suddenly I'm like enjoying it more, and then I'm like, wait, no.
I mean, how big is that community? I understand people can get outraged and it feels like gigantic thing online. I've been to the World Champions and stuff. I'm wearing the t-shirt from it, but like,
well, but are you gonna just shut them out? Like you have to, that they have to be a consideration, because what you're talking about is like, well, they're not that big, so just screw them. Like no more competitive in Pokemon.
They can play the old games.
You can't do that.
If you had to choose, Kelsey, if you were the one making the call and you had to give a little check mark on a piece of paper and it was Pokemon design is liberated forever, they can do whatever just is in the service of good game design, or you're catering to the competitive multiplayer fan base and you're restrained with your design and Pokemon games are bad again. Which box would you check, Kelsey? It's up to you.
Wow, this is a really
not at all biased. Not biased.
She's free to choose.
A neutral host. You know what?
She's free to choose.
Never has a leading
good
question.
interviewer.
He lets the cast speak
That's right.
on what they want to speak on, and he's just lets it go where. That's the mark of a good interviewer right there.
Thanks. So, Kelsey, the answer is
Okay, but like genuinely, I think you could just. There is an answer here where it's just you do both. Like you have regular Pokemon games happening and this game happening, and I think that's like a fairly likely way this is going.
Yeah.
But that seems boring, and I hope they bring some stuff from this into the traditional Pokemon games.
Yeah, I hope so. Starkiller writes in and says, it was fun to watch both Ben and Sarah stream Pokemon because they have very different play styles. Ben is very classic, where he'll battle the Pokemon, try to get it low, hit it with a status effect, and try to catch him. Sarah's more stealth, sneaking up and just trying to catch the Pokemon without battling. It's just really cool to see how many different play styles there can be.
Whatever takes least amount of effort, in my opinion, is what I will go for.
Smart. So there's a lot of stealth in around.
Like starting a battle, like it's like an extra 5 seconds when I could just crouch in a bush.
Yeah, I mean, Jared Armira wrote in about it, but it is shocking how little battling is happening in this game compared to every other Pokemon game. It's such a relief.
And it's weird because like I missed it throughout the most of the game, and then at the end they just kind of throw like 5 battles at you. And you're like, oh, surprise, here are the battles. And like, speaking of the battles, can I just bring up the 3v1 battles? I'm okay in the wild. I get it. It's like a rough world out here, and like you gotta get Pokemon. But when Adaman and Irida use 3 Eevees against you, I'm like, I'm sorry, what moral code is stopping me from just throwing all of my Pokemon at you?
Yes.
If they can do it, why am I not also doing it? It's fine that they're doing it.
Yeah.
That means I should also be like, screw it. Here's all my Pokemon.
He's everything. Good luck.
Yeah, like where's my little friend back from town? Like Akari, who's in my game, her name was, and it's like I would love to bond with her more by being able to team up against some of these people instead of just going against these fights where it's 2-on-1, 3-on-1 all the time.
And it takes forever. I'm like sitting there looking at my watch because like Blissey's really slow, and they're like using each of them get to go twice, and I'm like, are you done? And then I get to kill one of them, and then it starts over again, and like they can't kill me because I'm a literal tank. But it's annoying.
You know they're not going to win this. You just have to wait it out.
Right.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Joshua Caleb writes in and says, "Who else has turned this into Poké Gear Solid? I've collected a team of high-level alpha Pokemon that can so far one-shot almost any Pokemon I encounter. So I've been exclusively stealth catching the Pokemon I encounter, running away, or one-shotting if I'm spotted. It's actually kind of fun to play that way." Kelsey and Janet, are you going stealth or are you going more old school?
Oh, I really like the stealth parts in this game, which is wild because I do not like stealth games.
Yeah.
So something about this, I think what it is, honestly, is that like they're all very low stakes situations that you can immediately bail out on. And I don't think that a lot of stealth games are set up that way. So it's like I can stealth into whatever I want, and I can try to catch this Pokemon, and if they spot me, I could battle it, or I can just press plus, get on Braviary, and just be done.
Yeah, on that.
And I really like that loop, like that. It's like try the stealth, and I get it most of the time, but if I screw up, whatever, just bye.
Yeah, I'm mostly stealth. Sometimes I will, especially if it serves my like Pokedex for research, where it's like, oh, defeat this. I usually kind of aimed for like the 3 time. Like I didn't want to put too much work in where they're like, do this 82 times. I'm like, if that happens, it's going to happen naturally. I'm not going to like seek that out. But usually I would try to like target the lower level, like Dex like requests or requirements. So like sometimes that would change. Like if I got caught, I'm like, well, I kind of need to like kill one of these anyway. So I'll just take this opportunity. Sometimes I would battle it down because I'm like, you know what? I'm already here. I want to catch it. Like, let me just do that. But yeah, I use stealth as much as I could. I mean, I think for so long, like, especially think of like way older Pokemon games where technically it's like, well, you can throw the Pokeball if you want, but like, it's not going to work. So to actually have it work is nice because I feel like that's what we were initially pitched. Like you could throw it or you could battle and make it easier. And it's like, you really have to do the battle, and here you don't, which I like. Mm-hmm. I think also I enjoy how the strong and agile styles can feed into like a new form of strategy for like leveling them down. And then this is one of the few times I really like used items because and that's what I like about Pokemon. You can be really knowledgeable and really hardcore and be like, well, I'm throwing this food out because then they get the XP. Like you can do all that, or you could just be like, I'm just doing what I need to do and I'm hanging out in a world full of my Pokemon friends. And I'm a little bit more of the latter, but I did find myself actually using like the smoke bombs and using there's like a little it's like a stealth cloak, but it's like in the shape of a bell. Yeah,
The
like
stealth,
I used those like pretty. I mean, I also use like the potions and the revives from time to time. Like I'm not above that, but I use that quite a bit, and I liked it a lot because like the fog is so like dense that it really is like a DIY patch of grass for those areas where you can't really find a place to hide. And I thought that was just like a smart inclusion as far as tool sets go, and not something that you see in most stealth games. Like there are armor sets that maybe like make it you're quieter or something. It's not like they're the first person to invent that, but I thought it was a cool way to like Pokemon-fy those aspects that are occasionally in stealth games.
Yeah, I didn't really use any of that stuff until the very end. I started using like raspberries just to catch. But like really, I was just going pure grass, throw a Pokeball, call it good. But I was blowing it apparently. Like you were all using a lot of items out in the field?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I've been starting to use some of the items that I wasn't using as much at the beginning, like the spoiled apricorns and the sticky globs and that sort of thing, because honestly, like when you're catching a ton of Pokemon and stuff, sometimes I'm like, I really just don't want to battle, especially when you're going to the, I'm doing a lot of shiny hunting, so I'm doing all the outbreaks, and it's like, I don't want to battle like 15 of you. That's insane.
Right.
So if they get mad at me, I just throw things at them until I am allowed to throw a Pokeball again, basically. And that kind of loop is, I don't know, like it's a little more satisfying. And yeah, the raspberries are really useful because that actually makes things a little bit easier to catch. And I haven't been doing a lot with like the cakes though. That feels like a little, that's hardcore because it's like, the ones that look like rocks, like the salt cakes, and the dragons, like the mushroom cakes.
Oh,
it's like, I can't, that's too many things to think about.
I was too paranoid that people would want the things I have. So like I did use the, like potions to revive. So like the stealth stuff, but everything else, I'm like, what if someone's like, can I have 82 of the things that you didn't use? And I'm like, oh no, I used them. So I just hoarded a lot. And I also was constantly running out of like satchel space because I kept like buying the upgrade, but like I honestly would just like, I was out there with like very little, it's like a minimalist run.
Smart.
Like, I'm like,
naked
I
and
got my
afraid.
balls. That's it.
All I've got is these balls.
Exactly.
Yeah, Tim O'Keefe writes in and says, I cannot believe the amount of money I've spent unpacking my bag. He can't keep getting away with it, says Tim.
Yeah, I only upgraded it like 5 times, and I just empty it.
Yeah.
Just empty it.
Yep.
I'm just constantly emptying my bag.
And I guess like I was never too hard up for money. So it's like, I guess if you're going to keep playing this game forever, it's nice to have some place just to keep throwing your money into. But yeah, that guy is a freaking monster. He needs to be stopped.
Someone in chat says the max upgrade cost 1 million. Are they serious?
Shut
Is that
up.
true?
Really?
I'm scared that's real.
You don't need that much space. Is that like a space for every single item
like,
in the
what
game?
are you
What are you carrying? Yeah.
Why do you need all of that at the same time? You're not using like dire shrooms. Like, what are you doing?
That is insane.
What are you doing? It's like
But
you
it's
have
nice to
an
know that you
unlimited
could.
storage
Like,
space.
it's the freedom. Like, you don't need it's like, it's the same argument for backwards compatibility. Am I playing those old games?
Right.
No, but I want to be able to do it. Like, I want to know that I could do it.
I get
And
it.
you can craft like from the box in the field. So like you don't need to have the items on you unless you want to unless you're in an emergency in the field and you need to craft.
Right.
So what do you need that space for?
His kids have to go to college, Sarah. Will you support bagging, please?
Yeah.
Jared Natsis writes in and says, this is the best Pokemon game I've played in well over a decade. I got charged from off screen and tackled off a cliff by Machop because I was trying to catch his alpha brother. 10 out of 10. Best game ever. Hell yeah. You know what? I think it is the best game ever. Leafeon here says, I don't know if I can do another game without alphas. They're too much fun and exciting to have. My absolutely enormous Gengar brings me so much joy whenever she pops out into the world.
I feel like it's it's like the practical version of the Gigantamax Pokemon.
Yeah.
It's a little bit less like ridiculous, though. I miss that tall cake.
It is weird to think of like how many times Pokemon has done this with like mega evolutions, kind of sort of, then Dynamax, Gigantamax.
You gotta sell toys
You guys remember
somehow.
Z moves?
I miss Z moves.
I miss Z moves. Yeah, they gotta.
I like Z
you know what they
moves
should
and
do?
Mega Evolutions. They should have stopped there.
This would be probably a horrible game. Like I always think of these like fantasy games of like take the stealth of Metal Gear with the open world. Like that would suck. Like if you start mashing these all together, it wouldn't work. But what if they made like Pokemon like ultimate, and it's like it'd be so overwhelming.
Every
like I'm not
gimmick.
how dumb it is. Like every mechanic, it's like you're dancing. There's giant cakes. I'm on a soccer field. Like
You're doing your Z moves.
The giant
like, whatever
homeless
that
man is there.
the Z moves were so fun. Like I'm like Raichu doesn't dance anymore. I miss that. Remember the times we danced together? I do.
Spencer14 writes in and says, the further I advanced in this game, the more overwhelmed I became by all the systems and checklists. I have all these items piling up that I have no clue what to do with. Too many crafting recipes that all seem to do the same thing. Too many Pokemon to try and complete Pokedex tasks for. Too many side quests. 18 different types of Pokeballs to throw. Could this have been consolidated even a little bit?
That is the type of, like, there's a person for this type of game, though.
Yes.
Like, some people just really love checklists. And I think I'm somewhere in the middle. Like, I like a good amount of checklists.
Who would
but,
do that?
and this, and this game is like, you know, it only pushes for a minimal amount of the checklist. Because if you get to research level 10 of something, like, that's all you need to do for, like, basically any purpose in the game. But if you want to keep checking boxes, then wonderful. We have boxes for you to check.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, I wasn't.
you know, you just do some of them.
I was never annoyed or like tempted to keep checking that Pokedex. Like, oh, gotta keep doing this, gotta keep doing this. Like, I was never even gated by my overall level. Like, I think I was level 6 by the end of the game.
Oh, see, I got held back because
Yeah.
I wasn't rank 5.
Oh,
It's
really?
time to
Okay.
go to the. I was like, so then I just went and caught a bunch of Pokemon.
Yeah.
And like I saw it catching up to me like in real time where I think it was like level 2 to 3. It's like I had to like do a couple things, and then like 3 to 4 I had to do a few more, and I'm like, this 4 to 5 is not gonna be good. And it's like I'm starting 4 at like the lowest version of 4, and I'm staring down like 2,000 points, and I'm not. I think the one thing I will say as far as is it too much checklisting? Is it like could have been held back? So I guess it would be nice. Like I don't necessarily even need it, or I don't even know if it's a good idea, but just to have some form of like parsing it down or honing it in or keeping it at the front of your mind. Because if you are going for certain things, which is how I did it, like large in part, because like I guess something about catching 80 of like one Pokemon, I don't know, it never sat right with me. I'm like, I gotta do it different. And I felt like it was a lot of opening and closing and like keeping stuff in my mind, or like maybe writing a note in my phone. And I guess I just wish they maybe like let you create like little mini tasks for yourself that could like drop down on the menu or something like that. I just feel like there could have been a little more personalizing those checklists, I guess.
Yeah, if there's just a button for like, this is the one I'm working on right now, and then it's just sort of like there in the corner.
Right.
Like your little
that would
notebook
be
kind of thing.
useful. Yeah.
You know what I really wanted, and maybe I'm too stupid and I wasn't able to remember this, but I wanted like a little notification every time a Pokemon learned a new move. Because I feel like I would see it pop up on the side of the screen, like, okay, new move coming up. And at some point I'll get back to you, Haunter, I'll check it out. But was I alone and kind of getting backed up on those, then just realizing like, oh crap, I have to go through all these. I'm not paying attention to that. Or were you all on top of that every time a new move jumped in?
I didn't really care much for the new move because I just bought my Pokemon, all of their moves. So I would just go and I would just buy the most powerful ones. And then I just wouldn't pay attention to the new move or like move mastered.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
You're above it. I had no idea.
I just spent money. That's what I was spending money on instead of increasing my bag. I was like, you're all going to be murderers soon.
Old Scotland writes in and says, I don't think I had a single battle with a legendary Pokemon where I didn't click restart battle instead of continue battle at least once. Why did they have to put that option at the top? Yeah, it took a while before I realized that was a thing.
Funny. And then they have a second, because like I'm not gonna lie, like when I fought Cleaver, like that was a clean kill. Like I was out there, I was battling, I did it all.
That was
so novel.
That was easy.
Yes, I was like, it was all so fresh and exciting. By like second, third, fourth, I'm like, look, we don't need to have any of these. Like, this is the real me, okay? I'm cheesing this through.
That's fine.
I'm not even gonna battle. I'm just throwing bags of food. If I fall down, I fall down. I get back up. But yeah, I did find it weird that they had the restart, like, just straight up, like, as the top option. And then even if you click continue, they're like, but do you want to continue with the damage you did? I'm like, well, if I didn't, wouldn't that be restarting?
What's the difference?
And this is...
I'm like, there should just be an option to select, like, I want the baby easy version the whole time. Like, I want the auto, I want this game to play itself. Like, let me select that.
Right.
Like, kind of like how you can put your phone, like, in dark mode, and, like, all the applications are in dark mode. Like, I wanted that for that option. Like, I get it's nice to have the freedom, but, like, as someone that always chose to just continue with the damage, it would have been nice if they just auto did that for me.
Yeah, here's another weird one that's... Oh, go ahead, Kelsey.
I was just going to say, I feel like the ordering in which those prompts appear is like maybe the weirdest nitpick I've ever had about a video game, but
yes.
I think I agree. I think it was like a little unclear. I mean, I'm going to be honest, every time, the first time that I died in one, I just like straight up shut it off before even realizing that you could do like a continue.
Same
I was
here,
like,
yeah.
I just don't want to watch the restart thing. I'm just going to restart my game myself. So, but yeah, I do feel like it was weird. It was like leading you into it felt like it was trying to lead you to restart the fight rather than continue. But I don't really see, like, but it also gave you absolutely no reason to want to do that.
Right. So it's like, okay, we just hope you'll be cool and really soak in this set piece that we built up, but we understand if you want to get past it. Yeah, just on the confusion level, Zachary Sweet writes in with something that is kind of a similar vein. He says, why are there 3 options after talking to Professor Laventon? 1, continue excursion. 2, return to village. 3, gotta go. This bothered me.
Which is the same
Yeah, he says it bothered me way more than it should have, but surely we don't need 2 responses to leave the conversation. My guess is that at one point it was an option to travel to another area because that option was desperately needed. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That
I also
was,
had that beef.
Yeah, biggest complaint about the game. The only thing that genuinely bugged me.
To go back to the village.
Yeah. And even then, at a certain point, I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize I could zoom out and zoom into another area and fast travel there. It's like, oh, no, you can't. You can just see the icon, but you can't actually click on it.
Oh my God, the icon drove me insane. And like, again, when I like came back to do it's not even the second half, like the rest of the game after like our episode 1.
Yeah.
Like I had, especially because that part was like a lot earlier. Like we didn't really have multiple areas at that point. It was just that one area. So I'm like, how do I, like, I just straight up like asked Isaiah, I'm like, how do I go, like, how do I get here? He's like, well, where is it on the map? I'm like, I'm looking right at it. I can't like figure this out. And I thought it was just so like convoluted and weird. And it didn't like have any, there wasn't even like a annoying canonical excuse where it's like in other Pokemon games like Sword and Shield. I'm pretty sure the fast travel was like within like you go to the train station or you do some, like there was no like even cute artifice. It was just like a weird moment.
I think the way they explain it, the reason you have to go back to the village is because it's the security core that moves you around.
Of course.
Because the professor always goes like, the security core, will take us back to the village. And I'm like, sir, I have like a ton of level 70 Pokemon. Like I am my own security.
I am much stronger than these people.
I am
I
much stronger
control
than you.
God. Yeah.
Like, so it's
Yeah.
just weird.
And especially it's weird too. Like in the end, when you have to go to Kogita, whatever her name is, her little cool witch's tent. And I had a moment of like, I don't know where that was or how I get there. I guess I need to go back to the town and then travel to it.
I thought that was my tent at first. Like, I thought that was going to be my little secret base, and I was going to get to plant my own stuff and like put my Pokemon in the yard. Absolute rug pull. I hated it.
Well, the thing that I didn't like about it is there's just absolutely no reason to go back there.
Right.
Like, if there was any kind of, even if it was as stupid as, like, there's just another farm there or something, like, you're just also growing apricorns or whatever up there as well as in the village. But, like, there's no Pokemon that spawn. There's nothing. There's no reason to return there. And that felt kind of disappointing. It's like, what is this for?
Yeah, totally.
This existed for like a small plot reason, and then was abandoned.
They make you go back to like learn about the other legendaries, essentially.
Yeah, but there's no there's no reason to go there for anything other than small plot reasons.
Points.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and there's so many
exploring.
There's so many weird beats in the story at the end too. Like, okay, this big thing happens. We now need to go back to talk to Commander Silene for her to say, oh, we need to go to the move area. Then you go to the move area. Okay, now we need to go over here. It's just like people telling you to go to a spot just so that new person can tell you to go to some other spot without adding anything new. It's really bizarre.
That definitely was a bit of a trend. I mean, I think earlier on it made some semblance of sense because the road would be like a new road that you haven't walked and maybe you want to like get some Pokemon or like level up. But when it really is just like ping-ponging between, like, there's a lot of like, I need you to do this thing that's like 12 feet away from me, but like I can't do it. You have to, like, I think of that one of the side quests to like set up the, well, I guess this is technically a side quest to set up the camp where it's like you're on the hand island or whatever, and she's like, I don't know where my friend or brother, whoever it was, and I was like, where is this man at? You haven't told me any information.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie, I just googled that. I was like, I am not gonna spend. And then I was like, okay, is the bear like? Do we know what he smells like? No one.
It turns out he's like 15 feet away, like just sitting on one of the fingers of the hand. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's just I don't know. There are, I guess, for every like really well constructed journey point, there's also a few things that are kind of just like there, and I'm like, all right, that's okay.
Yep, totally. Rich Carrasco writes in and says, the best storyline in this entire game was the Growlithe story. I was legit moved when we found out that he swam across the ocean to protect his friend. Is the kind of story that took me back to the original anime. I gotta say, maybe I just was zoning out. That entire beach area storyline, I think, was the most confusing.
What? That was like the only one that I actually enjoyed.
Really? I think
it actually had a little bit of a story to it.
I think
like, you got to actually learn about Polina. Yeah, there's like forbidden Romeo and Juliet love, and like there's two Growlithes, and like she doesn't want to train it to be a lord because it's not ready. And Irida's like, you have to train it to be a lord, and she's like, he's not ready.
She's like, I don't care if everyone hates me because this Growlithe is too important to me. It's very sweet.
I think I was just turned off from her because like right when you get there, Irida just starts telling you about, hey, by the way, we're in this new exciting area. So I have this old friend named Polina. I think we need to do her this favor. And it's like just the worst example of tell, don't show. Like, let me see this character.
The entire game was very like, I will tell you the plot points.
Yes.
Instead of letting you experience the plot points. Which is why the Growlithe moment stood out to me so much, because it was one of the only moments where like you saw the significance of the small Growlithe showing up, and I was like,
there's also
he's gonna save his friend.
It's happening. There's a weird beat too there where I think it's, God, is it Iridia, whatever her name is? Where there's a weird joke that they go for where she's like, oh, can't you hear the Lord Growlithe or Arcanine roaring? And they say, no, can you? She says, haha, I was just joking. Like that entire story, it just feels like so much of the translation for these Pokemon games, I just feel like something's missing. We're not getting the full flavor or the character they're going for.
Like, they're explaining there's Polina and Irida, and apparently they were both in the running for becoming the leader of their clans.
Right.
And Irida's basically, she's like, I was like, Polina's like, seems like a really rounded, well-rounded adult, and she's like a very smart woman, and and then Irida's like, I'm really good at playing the flute. And that's her entire shtick. Like, that's why she's like the leader of the Diamond Clan. She's like, I'm just like really good at the flute.
I think they were leaning into this comedy a little bit later on, but it definitely struck me too when Kojita, who I thought was a cool character, it's the weird witch lady out in the woods, when she's talking about, of course, God and Arceus and all this stuff, and she said, one might even say that the world, time, space, and all creation exists only because our minds are there to perceive it. And then it literally cuts, which is like my favorite idea on planet Earth, and then it cuts to some other character, I think it's maybe Volo, and there's like, myths are cool. Like, it's literally their response to that. It's like, what? It's just so wildly uneven with the writing, but I think maybe they're going for it.
I did like the part that she kept calling out Volo for just following you around.
Right.
And like just standing outside the cave. And like, until you came out and battled the legendary.
Yeah.
So somebody had to call him out for it.
She knows what's going on. She's very wise. Somebody watching us on Twitch said that you can marry Kojita. I'm assuming that's a lie because that would elevate this game to a whole nother level. Sign me up. Let's see. Johnny M says, I just finished the third big boss fight and I haven't actually died yet. Is it just me or is the action part of the combat pretty trivial, not really that engaging?
You mean like the running around?
Yeah, just fighting the lords, I guess.
You couldn't sprint doing that, right? Because that was really, you literally can't sprint.
It was such
there's, I don't know. I feel like some of the boss fights, pretty much all of them had like a rhythm to them where like once you understand it, you're good. I do feel like there was a part of the Arcanine fight where like I did not know how to, like he sets up a ring of fire.
Yeah. Yes.
And then I didn't know what I was supposed to do. That fire, like about to do his, giant thing, and you have to throw stuff at him while he's doing that, or he definitely hurts you. And it seems like you have to run through fire. Like you can sort of dodge roll through the fire, but you're going to get hurt in some.
You can lob them over.
Like you couldn't hit
him from all the way over there, but you have to start doing it almost immediately because if you even wait like a second, you will just get murdered. But
I was just standing like point blank range from him. So
and like the Electroid fight, he kept like chasing you with the electricity, and I'm like, if only there was some way I could like walk up to a tree and like de-electritize myself, or like I wanted almost more mechanics.
Yeah.
Because I'm like running around, like I wanted to be able to like drop them off somewhere, and like I either wanted just a battle or more.
It was like some parts felt a little poorly designed, and then some parts felt like too designed, where it's just like, okay, you have to just run around and avoid for the next 90 seconds, and then there will be a moment where you can do something, and then you just have to run around and avoid for like, it wasn't like, and I think the Electrode fight was maybe the worst offender of that, but it's just like, there's nothing I can really do right now. I just have to run and not get hit, but for like a couple minutes straight.
I mean,
you
can't roll through that project. Are you talking about like the electricity circle that just follows you around? Like in the Electrode fight?
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of it.
Because you can roll through that, but then it still follows you. So you do have to roll like through it over and over again.
Rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think...
Give me something to do.
Something
other than avoid.
Ask y'all about like with those fights, because like the first time we had one, with Cleavor, who could forget episode 1 of this show, of this small show within the show. I was like, this is so cool. Like, it's so different. Yeah, like, this foot, like, oh my God, I don't even need to use my Pokemon. Like, it all felt like so cool. And then it's like, this is all that there is. And, one reason that I did just kind of like cheese my way through it is I just felt like it wasn't interesting enough for like, what's the flex here that I can press Y? Like, I don't need that. Like, that's fine. I'm curious to know, like, if y'all, like how you guys felt about that being sort of like the big set piece within the game, and like whether you prefer the gym battles. Because one thing I kind of noticed at these like Pokemon like deviations or sort of spins, like with the trials and with like other elements that they've done that aren't the gym battles, they're fun in that they're not the gym battles, but I feel like they're never as good as the gym battles. So like, is it just different for different sake? Is that still better? Like, how did y'all feel about that after the fact?
Yeah, I didn't really miss
I started to enjoy the game more when I didn't have to do those like Lord battles, and they actually gave me actual Pokemon battles, which were a lot more competitive than the gyms, because usually at a gym it's all one type. But when you start fighting these like endgame characters, they're actually using like good teams. Yeah. And I felt like I was like really being challenged in a way. So I really did not start enjoying the game until like I got through like what you would consider the main story.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think there was the right level of fighting in this game. So if there were gym battles, it probably would have felt like too much. And the fact that, I mean, there weren't that many. There were 5 or 6 of these Lord battles. So I felt like they were easy enough to get through, especially with that continue thing. And honestly, again, this is low expectations. But if you would have told me that Game Freak's going to have action boss fights, I would have been like, oh my God, that's going to be a disaster. That's going to be like some PS2 level platformer boss design. And so like the fact, like I think the Electrode fight looked cool. The Avalugg thing, I thought that was cool. So
Avalugg was basically near. You were basically
you're right.
bottom. Like the Avalugg one I actually enjoyed the most because I felt like I had to do the most besides just run in a circle.
Same.
Yeah.
But yeah, then at the end they like switched up the cycle and the rhythm, and I got a little pissed off because I was so close, and then they were like, but now it's faster. I was like, okay, let's not raise the difficulty because it was already kind of hard.
Right. It reminded me of the Ray fight from Metal Gear Solid 2, where it's like, all right, here's a Metal Gear Ray on the horizon, just messing with you, just got to weave around it. Mick Manga wrote in about that, saying, my favorite thing was the Avalugg boss. It's as big as a mountain hill. We need more giant Pokemon. For the first time since Black and White's Kyurem encounter, I was intimidated by a Pokemon. Yeah, so
but then I didn't know that it actually wasn't that big, and I saw like the actual size, and I was really disappointed. I was like, wait, it's not always this big?
It's a bummer. Let's see. Gmax Theorin writes in and says, as a huge Gen 5 fan, I flipped when I saw Ingo. But I gotta wonder why they use this particular character to illustrate the idea that other people are also getting sucked back in time. Did you all catch that? The weird guy in the Highlands who's like, I also forgot my memory. Something weird is happening to my body.
His was like really sad because he had a family.
Yes.
And, like your main character doesn't apparently give a damn.
They don't care about anything. They're just like, new friends, Pokemon, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, don't care at all.
You can like, it's so weird throughout the game where you could like choose almost to determine how much you actually remembered of like, oh, I remember Pokemon and humans getting along versus not.
What'd you see when you fell out of the sky? It's either like, I totally saw something or I have no idea.
Yeah, you can just play this character.
Like, are you lying? 'Cause this is
I don't know.
And either way, the other character's like, that's interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, Dr. Rock also wrote in saying Ingo's story is pretty sad. He and his twin brother were bosses of the battle subway in Black and White. And he has also somehow been displaced in space and time. It's really heartbreaking as you travel with him in the Coronet Highlands and he struggles to remember someone important to him who was his brother.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, G-Max is just trying to figure out, like, of all the characters, he said, like, why not have Lieutenant Surge or Flannery go back in time? Why Ingo? And the best...
They can make all those traits.
Just obscure enough, maybe? Like, I don't know if that's what they were going for, but I don't know.
Maybe, but
I will
make it feel more random.
Yeah.
But I will say, if I reincarnated into like any of the Pokemon games, Pokemon Arceus would be the worst for me. I would be so mad. Like, I've always wanted to like live in Pokemon games, but if I got Pokemon Arceus, I would feel completely ripped off. I would be like, really?
What do you mean? You get to work on a farm and...
Yeah, you get to do manual labor as a child. Like, oh, yay. Nobody knows how Pokemon work.
And you're constantly scolded and reminded that if you don't put in a bunch of labor, like, you're gonna just get kicked out to the curb.
Yeah.
And you have to pay for the haircut before you see what the options are.
I stopped getting haircuts because I lost thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
I went in for during the first like update, like presumably the first like salon update, when like that one like chick is like, oh, I work here now, and I'm like, okay, let's see what styles she has, and she didn't have that many. I mean, she did have like the red hair dye, yeah, little pigtails, and I'm like, nah, that's like not what I look like. And just the pain of like, this looks a lot like your last haircut. And I'm like, I know, it's the same one. I don't want anything from you. And she's like, you look great. I'm like, I look the same.
Yeah, just real quick on the Ingo front, like the best I can figure for like why they're going for him is, I mean, the director of this game, Black and White, was the first game that he worked on. So maybe he was nostalgic or something. But then also, isn't Black and White the next in line for a remake? So maybe they're just trying to seed any connection there, right? Am I nuts? I think it is.
Yeah, but of all of the characters from Black and White,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the one that would make me be excited about Black and White again.
Right, totally.
And nothing wrong with Ingo. He's fine.
He's fine. People were very excited. I was streaming that part where he popped up and people were like, oh, Ingo. It's like, the level of Pokemon fandom is humbling. Mark Ramirez says, can we talk about Captain Silene freaking out about the Wurmple walking through her office? That was weird, right? She orders Abra to zap it away, and then it's business as usual, and the topic of her abject fear is never addressed again.
I totally thought they were going to make a bigger deal about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was supposed to be this comedic moment, and then they just kind of didn't finish it, I feel like. I'm like, I don't know.
A lot of unfinished moments because we never really helped Ingo remember his brother.
Yeah.
He was like, well, I think I got it. And then you just leave. And you're like, okay, have fun with your problems. I'm going to go
for that battle. It just like uncorked my memory. Like, which kind of, I don't know. I mean, there's like weird stuff with memory, like how people can have like almost none of like forming recent memories, but they'll know like old songs that they learned a long time ago. So I guess it's kind of pulling on that vein, but like,
Hey, why doesn't Captain Silene have eyebrows? What's going on there? She doesn't have eyebrows. She's the only character.
Doesn't have eyebrows.
Yeah.
Let me like relook at a picture.
Maybe a Wurmple ate her eyebrows off her skull.
Is that why she looks so unsettling to
I think
me?
that's it. There's something. Yeah, it's very Super Saiyan 3 of her. Yeah.
Huh.
Also, hey, on the eyebrow front, Adaman, he has like that kind of like scar on his eyebrow. Is that like a fashion thing? Because like Jamie Tart has it.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's like, how long has that been a cool, stylish thing to have like the...
Sarah, this is you.
Yeah, Sarah.
I would say like the 5 to 3 years.
Really?
3 to 5 years. Yeah.
Oh, the eyebrow slit?
Yeah.
Yeah, the eyebrow slit.
Where does that come from?
Because people would get scars on their
There's
eyebrows. And then people thought it looked cool.
Like scar.
There's also like some ties to like the queer community with eyebrows, eyebrow slits.
Huh.
As like an indicator. Not to say that that's why Adamat. Yeah, like these names just roll off the tongue. Has them because a lot of people use them also as like just style indicators, which we've seen like other like things that start off as like queer indicators become just like general stylistic things. So yeah.
Gotcha. Hugo, by the way, in the Twitch chat says, Silene's pulling from the design of Cyrus. They don't have eyebrows either. I'll be damned.
Oh.
Biscuit, Nick S.
I think Celine pulls it off though a little bit.
You think so?
She's
'cause I
very
didn't notice.
intense.
I didn't notice the lack of eyebrows. You know what I mean? And that's like
Yeah.
actually like a depends on your For You page algorithm, but that's like a popular trend thing going on where there's a filter that removes your eyebrows, and some people look really cool with them without eyebrows, and some people look horrible. And people are just kind of reacting to what that vibe is. So,
I wish she had.
It's a thing.
I wish she had the opposite of the adamant, where she just had one little slit of an eyebrow, and that's all that was on her face. Yeah. Biscuit writes in and says, "Being forced to slowly walk is always hit or miss for me in games, but for some reason, seeing it in a Pokemon game, being forced to leave the village I have called home for 40 plus hours with the sky turning red and the solemn music really work for me. I
immediately turned around and tried to stay.
They won't let you.
And I kept getting yelled at. She was like, "Get over here!"
Walk out the village. Tried to do the Ben Hansen. Just try to break the game in ways I know it wasn't going to let me do it.
They won't let you. Nick says the story and writing can be cheesy in parts, but I thought that part was actually really great. I was amazed they were really going for it. Like, especially then when you're going to all of your friends in the game, they're all like, "Sorry," they all one by one turn their back on you. It's brutal.
See, I would have gone. So that was me. I would have gone like scorched earth at that point.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that you just went back, I was going to say, like, you know, when the commander's not in the village,
Yeah.
I was going to seize control of the town with my Pokemon. Like, I had a whole plan worked out. Like, I would never just like, I don't forgive and I don't forget.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
Like, nobody came to help
wasn't-
you.
Yeah, I wasn't evil, but now that you're doing this horrible thing to me,
Right.
like what the? What do you expect
I
me
did
to
like
do?
all of your Pokedex.
Right.
I'm the only one filling out the Pokedex.
Yeah. Even Lamp did is
the
no good for
strongest
him.
person here.
Yeah,
I've solved all of the problems caused by the weird sky hole that I came out of. Like, you know,
They were like trying to set you up for it because everyone was like, "Oh, like should we really be like quelling the lore?" It's like, is
Right.
that really the right thing to do? And like,
Right.
watch how
But they
nobody here
always-
really trusts you. But
they
it
always told
never
you to
like
do it.
hit home. Yeah, like I never really felt like this was a logical conclusion for the sky turning red.
Well, no one wants to get their hands dirty. Like everyone
Right.
wants the lords quelled, but no one wants the food on their
No
hands.
one wants to do the quelling.
and they also want to be able to sort of remain like a little superior about it. Like, look, we really need this Lord quelled, but
Also, can we
was that
talk about
really
how-
the best idea? I mean, I don't know.
After it's already done. After
Yeah.
it's already done.
Where are these lightning bolts coming from? Yeah. It's a lot of them.
Why did they use the word quell? I feel like that's I've never used or heard that word in my
Yeah.
natural, regular, day-to-day life, quelling, until this game.
We're constantly quelling in Minnesota. It's
I'm
a
a
big
big
thing.
queller.
Yeah. Live to quell.
What would you call it?
Oh no, ease,
Calming them down?
calm, yeah, like any other. Like I've never. It's like the most like $5 word that's in this game, especially because it's like usually pretty simplistic writing. I'm like, why is quell like? And then people say all the time like quelling. We gotta quell. How are we gonna quell? It's like it's like that and the potato mochi are such like a
Right.
in your face thing throughout the whole time.
Also, Benny, what a backstabber.
What a monster.
A backstabber.
What
The
was that?
audacity of that man to turn around and say, "I never trusted you, and I'm actually in charge of killing you."
Right. It's just so
And then,
weird.
as soon as you beat him,
Yes.
he's like, never mind, I guess you were right.
You
and
want
I
some
do
potato
trust you
mochi?
now."
Yeah, it's like you can't joke about Mochi anymore, bro. You tried to kill me. You admitted that you just assassinated, you do all of Komodo's evil, dirty work, and then suddenly trying to be buddies again? No go. Was he in that final image of everybody celebrating in town? Because if he was, I'm going to be furious.
I don't know. I only got to see it for 5 seconds, and you can't screenshot it.
You can't screenshot it. And I was like fumbling with my phone trying to like take a picture of it anyways.
Oh,
and-
funny. I was capturing through streaming and stuff, so I guess I grabbed it there. Aegis of the Grill says, when Benny became a ninja... This game is kind of dumb sometimes. When Benny became a ninja and Komodo put on his samurai armor, did anyone else think about Pokemon Conquest? It's the only other Pokemon game that I can remember had Arceus at the center of its stories. I feel like there's some parallels.
I love Pokemon Conquest.
It was cool. People don't talk about
cool
it
game
enough.
that no one cares about.
No
Yeah.
one ever does like throwbacks to like Pokemon Channel or like Pokemon TV. Like,
Yeah.
none of the Pokemon
true.
games I played get callbacks.
Just Conquest. But I'm
I
trying
don't think that was a Conquest throwback though. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
think
don't
that's
think it
still
was.
just like part of the era. Although I do really love after you beat the game, one of the clothing items you unlock is the ninja mask. So I have
Ooh.
absolutely been running around with a neon pink ninja mask, and it's been
Yeah.
Wonderful.
The clothing options, I will say, though, are the most abysmal options that I've seen in any Pokemon game.
What level of what research
I'm like
level
rank
are you?
like 7.
Okay.
And like
they get better.
I just want to wear like, it feels like they very much designed the clothes for like a male main character, and they weren't willing to like gender them in any way, because that would be more work to like make a skirt.
Yeah.
But like, I don't want to wear a suit. I don't want to wear a ninja outfit. I want to wear like a yukata. I want to wear like a kimono. I want to be pretty. And they're like, here's your tux.
Yeah, you
in 5 colors.
I mean, I'm not at research level 10 yet, but like, I do feel like yukatas are like a very major thing missing here. Like, I thought that would be like one of the first clothing options I got, was just like a really pretty kimono or yukata with like a big bow or something. I'm like, oh, that's obvious because of the time period we're in. Of course we're gonna get that. And we didn't, and that's very strange to me.
I hate how good like some of the other characters look too. People have like these really fancy, like, where are y'all shopping at? Like, there's no like, you know, ordering online here. So like, what's going on? Like, y'all have these like really beautifully crafted garments, and I'm just like sitting here and like, do I want a yellow outfit or an all green outfit?
Do I want stripes? And then the fact that you have to like scroll through every single one and not like pick one and then customize. The UI UX team was sleeping. They weren't here for this game. Like, that's one of the things that like, I definitely, they were not here.
Sarah, I turned into your stream for a second, and I don't know what the hell you were wearing. Like, what was that weird thing on your
Snow
face?
goggles.
Snow goggles.
Snow goggles. Yeah, so
hell?
like to protect from snow blindness. Yeah, I had snow goggles and I had my Ugg boots on.
Smart.
There is not nearly enough hats or glasses options in this game.
Yeah.
They're pretty much all
I would kill
bad.
for like a flower, but instead I get like a headband. Like, it seems like it's all for like male characters, and they were just like, but you can all wear it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thanks.
Another
glasses are abysmal. Like, the glasses are like, they're all dork glasses basically, and then goggles that don't look like goggles to me. They just look like a big. They look like you wouldn't be able to see out of them. Like, what's going on?
The point is that you can't, because like the light off the snow would blind you.
That's right.
So it's kind of like looking into an eclipse with the solar eclipse.
That's right.
That's essentially what I haven't taken them off because it's too much of a pain to go into my house and take them off. So I've literally just been wearing them for the rest of the game.
Another robot writes in similar thoughts, saying, someone needs to tell Anth that her clothing selection is trash.
It is trash.
No one's wearing her designs in town. The townsfolk would rather wear patchwork rags than step foot near her shop. I go out and risk my life catching Pokemon to inspire her, and then she designs yet another hideous pattern.
Yeah, there's also something about like running around in like essentially flip-flops that really bothers me. So I put my Ugg boots on and I've just left them on, because the idea of like trying to climb a mountain in open-toed shoes, like, it's just, I can't do it.
I love it. Like, there was even like some really cinematic stuff towards the end of you catching a legendary, and it's like just the beautiful temple palace. Then you see one foot step in, and yeah, it's totally me just wearing flip-flops. I was like, oh, this is embarrassing. I'm going to go up against God. Lewis K writes in and says, some of the lines in this half were insane. Highlights being, after being chucked out of the Survey Corps, the commander says, don't die alone out there. That's an order. And then later she says, so you managed not to die, just as I ordered. Well done. That's just writing. That's just good writing. Hugo H2P says, as much as the story was rather rote. Oh, speaking of rote, Janet, you're talking about the, what was the word, quell being brought up all the time? This game taught me a new word, which is climb. C-L-I-M-E.
Oh.
I had never seen that word before in my life.
I had to Google that too, because I was like,
that's a thing? Yeah. A region considered with reference to its climate is a climb, apparently, with an E in it. Anyways.
Wordle alert.
Yeah, no
was
kidding.
biome not available? Like,
no. Hugo H2P says, as much as the story is rather rote, I do appreciate the inversion of expectations for the characters. Albeit stern, Silene helps the player at the end, even though her descendant is the lead of the evil Team Galactic, while Kamado gets in your way despite being the ancestor of the helpful Professor Rowan. Yeah, they're flipping around.
I feel like I would have gotten so much more out of this if I knew more Diamond and Pearl stuff.
Yes, I think that's right.
Everyone's like, oh, like this is deep and good because of this. I almost wish they would have just made new characters because I don't understand this like past baggage that is adding like depth to this game.
But
I don't know.
It's
Maybe
pretty
that's just
light.
me.
I mean, it's not like they're hitting you over the head with like, I'm looking forward to having a bunch of kids.
That's the thing. If there was more depth in the game, I would be okay with it. But it seems like the only sort of like deep look you get of these characters is based on who they were based off of.
I think too, like, it's kind of interesting and somewhat surprising that like I feel like we've seen other, and I can't think of any offhand, but like marketing pushes that are sort of mentioning, okay, here's a thing that we're going to roll out. You should buy it because it ties into this other thing. You know, it didn't come out released on time, but that was like sort of the idea of remastering the old Life is Strange games for the new one. Again, it got delayed, so that didn't work out. But that was the idea of like, it's all part of that Life is Strange hype. And for this, I feel like it's like everyone at the Pokemon Company, and not that it didn't sell well, but we're like, oh, surely everyone's going to be fresh off of the Diamond and Pearl remakes. I'm like, the game everyone said was boring as hell and that no one was excited about when it was announced. Yeah, I didn't play that. And they're like, surely this is all going to tie together. And I am kind of surprised that they didn't like lead with, surely they knew, like the game was already like very much done or far along when they had those rolled out. Like, I think, not that necessarily I would have played Diamond and Pearl just for that, but it would have been so much more of a talking point and people would have been speculating on what it might mean. Maybe they didn't want to build up anticipation or expectation with it, but it's just a little surprising that it kind of feels that they just assume that we all are just on this train together, and I wasn't.
I feel like I wasn't missing too much, though.
Yeah, well, and so I'm trying to think back to like what the trailers were like for this game, and I feel like even if I can't remember them really showing off any of the NPCs other than maybe your rival, your rival stand-in. And I think that would have been the opportunity to sort of like prime people that like, hey, there will be Easter eggs here if you care. Like if that's something that seems so
lame. Like, what's the point of priming for Easter eggs? You either get it and then you don't. I mean, it's not the end of the world.
There's a game coming out right before.
Yeah.
Like I would agree if they didn't have Diamond and Pearl literally releasing just, months earlier, but that wasn't that long ago. So you have a chance to be like, hey, look, did any of these look kind of familiar to you? You see any parallels? Like, maybe you want to pick up that and play that first? Yeah. I agree with you, Ben, that I don't feel like I really missed much by... There were some I got and there were some that I didn't. I kind of, by the halfway point, I figured I was like, okay, I'm probably just literally every character is a reference. And so anytime I'm not getting one, it's just me not getting it and not that it's not a reference.
Yeah.
But... yeah, I don't think it detracted, but I think it would have been an easy thing to prime people for.
Sure.
That they didn't.
Yeah. Aaron T. submitted a comment over on Patreon and says, did the whole Pokemon are a terrifying mystery thing fall flat for anyone else? Plenty of people know their favorite foods, their evolutions. There is extensive medical knowledge about Pokemon. There are 10 different types of Pokeballs. They can even create candy that makes them level up. Other people in the region live side by side with Pokemon with seemingly no issue. So what's the deal with these villagers? Unclear.
It was a little bit weird. And I'm trying to remember the exact specifics of this, but like one of the main characters, I don't remember if it's the dude that flips on you at the end. I mean, everyone flips on you at the end.
That's right.
Everyone's constantly flipping on you. That's why, to me, it's not really a subversion of expectation. I'm like, everyone hates me. They hated me from the moment I dropped into the sky. They just want to use me for their own stuff. And they'll throw me away like the trash they think I am. Like, this is no surprise. Everyone hates me. But at one point, one of the main characters mentions explaining, like, it's like on the beach, like explaining everything. And it's like, but remember, Pokemon are terrifying. Yes. And I'm like, what is with, like, I don't know. It was like kind of mixed for me. I do like I think it is believable that some people would have adapted and others didn't. So I guess that layer works for me. But it did feel like they really wanted me to know that there was fear while also having the convenience of having some people that do have expertise.
I think maybe it was also just them trying to build up how influential Komodo is so that when he turns on you, I don't know, you get to see that, oh, he's just brainwashed the town, don't you see? But then him immediately going back on it and trying to be your best bud again. Like, it's just like nothing really sticks. But
I'm sorry, will you finish the Pokédex, please? You're like...
Everyone is okay. No one has convictions that are strong enough to withstand losing a Pokemon battle.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you for bringing it up because that is so accurate. That's like, that is the game. That's the summary of the game right there.
Yep. That's it. In terms of like the villagers being scared of Pokemon, like I guess in that legendary, final image that they show, there's like Pokemon in the town. So maybe that's them trying to hint at like the new era of them kind of working together. But I don't even, does anybody change their dialogue in the end game? I don't think I talked to people enough to notice, but.
This one kid was like, oh, that was a really fun party. And I'm like, yeah, I wish I could have been there.
Wish I could have seen any of it.
Wish I could have seen that. I feel like I blacked out. They're like, oh, Silene like got so turned. And I'm like, I don't know. Because I wish we could have gone to that party. Is that too much to ask at the end? Like that they threw in our honor for like finishing the game. And like, even if it was just like, nighttime and everyone was just standing around. But like, I needed like that moment. But it just felt like they didn't go the extra step and they were like, here's an art asset.
Yes.
And then what the party would have looked like if you could have gone.
And then Silene is like, haha, you like hung over or what? That sure was crazy. And it was funny because I basically, because all that was, like a thank you for playing kind of image, it took me a second to make the connection that like, oh, that was the representation of the party. Like I thought the credits were going to roll and then I was going to go to the party. And so when it was morning, I was like, oh, party's tonight. And then everyone was like, wasn't that party great? I was like, wait, what? I thought it happened. When did it happen?
That
and then,
was it.
Yeah, eventually I pieced together like, oh, that photo of a festival. That was the part. That's what we get. That's not enough.
It's a Super Mario Sunshine vacation postcard all over again.
Exactly.
Like it's been so many years. I mean, in general too, I wish they just had more like sim stuff. I know I like harp on that for like, I want every game to be like a sim or have sim elements, but I really think much like, we see so many games, well, obviously Pokemon's already an RPG, but like pulling from like the RPG genre, like I think there's a lot of benefit and fun to be had in that. And I am kind of a little bit bummed that they didn't keep some of the stuff that they've done before. It feels like again, Ben, you have this complaint, so I feel like you're going to be like screaming internally when I say this, but it does feel like they always start from scratch for when they have good ideas already there. Like they had the camping, we've been able to pet, like there's so many cute ways to like bond with your Pokemon and build things and like enjoy that stuff. And yet like I'm just sitting here in my empty shell of a house, detached from my animals. I have to throw them in the field and stand and move the camera around. Like I remember in a battle, I forgot what Pokemon it was it was when Typhlosion, am I saying that right? I always mess that up. Yeah, when he like became all weird and purpley, I was like, I'm gonna take a picture with my purple boy, but I can't really, so I just like sort of jankily moved the camera and I'm like, I'm just gonna screenshot while people are shooting at us from the side. And yeah, like I really wish they did more stuff with that. And yes, there's the fake coals that you can take a photo at the Sears. Who could forget? But I wanted more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Half Tip writes in and says, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but he says, look, we all know Pokemon ain't Shakespeare, and that's fine. But there seems to be a heavier emphasis on story and character interaction in this game compared to others. I don't know if that's true. I think you forget about all the stories from the other Pokemon games. But anyways, it's harder to ignore the bad writing throughout this game. I'm wondering if you all think it's at all possible Game Freak will ever make a game with compelling writing and characters that can stand with the RPG greats.
I've so far done with expecting that.
Yeah.
Like that if they had a good story and good writing, it would be lost on me because I would be barely paying attention.
It's so sad.
It would take so much to convince me that Pokemon has really compelling narratives now. And I'm not saying they've never done anything worthwhile narratively. It's just like that's not the focus of the game.
Yeah.
And it would take a lot for them to convince me that I should be focusing on it.
Yeah, like every time it would cut back to the table and Benny feeding us his poison food or whatever, I kept thinking like, imagine
he could have killed us right there.
I know.
Why didn't he just poison us? We ate those potato mochi every day.
It makes no sense.
Maybe he's like, I've been giving them expired potato mochi and
they
it's
keep
not
going.
Working. Like it's just, they're still coming back.
They're
too modern
polite.
medicine.
You're from the sky. I mean, he's putting poison in it, but you're like a weird sky being. I mean, who knows?
I love the three of us are just like really way too polite though, and it's actually basically poison, but everyone's just nodding and smiling like, potato mochi, let's make this a recurring gag. But anyways, every time we cut back to them, I was just thinking like, what if these characters actually were interesting? What if I cared at all about anybody sitting at this table? Just imagine some crazy fantasy land where I gave a shit about what Akari has to say.
Well,
Yeah,
that's why,
like,
like, in my mind, I just rewrote the story. I was like, so I got thrown out of the village and I joined the bandits, and we kind of had like an arc where I learned about the bandits, and then I took over the town, and I burned it down. But for me, it's like less about the writing and more about the cutscene limitations. They literally have to say everything.
Yeah.
Like at the very end, like the villain that appears like basically spells it out for you
So many times.
in a very long villain monologue. What's been going on, and like you don't get to see anything. It's just somebody's just telling you the entire. It's like kind of more of like a visual novel.
Right.
That
Totally.
you kind of have to like fill in the blanks in your head. Like, yeah, oh, that happened. Absolutely.
That's so accurate. And it's like a visual, but the whole point of visual novels, and like obviously sometimes they're not always like amazing, is they do have good writing. So it's like a visual novel, but the writing isn't good. Like that sounds really rough. And that is narrative in Pokemon. It's one of the few, I've tweeted a lot about like zoning out in cutscenes, and like I totally do have those bad habits and like having it, even though liking story, but skipping stuff. I think we all do that to a degree, but never am I more disengaged than Pokemon. Like I'm spamming that A button. It's not even the matter of time. I'm like, there's not a world where I really care enough. Like I do read some of it, but then I just kind of go through because it's such like background to what's going on. I think the things I'd want to see a lot different if I were to be more engaged. I think just less, kind of like to Sarah's point, like less text. Voice acting would be amazing because then I could actually perceive everything that's happening. And yeah, more, Sarah, until you mentioned it, it never really set in with me, but that's so true. Like the cutscenes are so weirdly static. Like it's a lot of like, and then it's this person from the shoulder, and then it's like another camera.
It goes like
camera
this
angles
the entire time.
It was fun when she did that.
There's not real action happening, and I think that makes it all the more dull. And I think like the potato mochi thing stands out because like when I see the potato mochi table, my brain goes on cruise control. I'm just like,
yes,
they could be talking about the wildest stuff and I would never know. And I'm just like, hey, like we're just eating this mochi every 10 seconds.
That's the frustrating thing is oftentimes they are. Like it is literally a story about kids and people in this town uncovering the nature of God. It's like, that is a cool idea. There's fun stuff in here about the power of myth and all that nonsense. And it's just instead them just reiterating, Pokemon are scary. These lightning bolts keep coming. We don't know what's going on. It's like, I got that.
Oh, I do think one thing that, to like the point of the person that wrote in, where it's like, oh, is this worse? Like, I feel like I notice it more. I do feel like the story feels more front and center. And then the number one reason for that and why it kind of like, in a weird way stands out is like, the flaws stand out more, I think, at least for me, is Pokemon games have always had the story be even more sidelined, mainly because there's always two stories happening in the Pokemon games. It's be the best trainer, win like the mega championship or whatever, and then P.S. the world is ending. So like in my mind, like P.S. the world is ending was always like in the background of be the very best. And the dialogue and story for like be the very best is pretty straightforward. It's like your rival's also trying. By the way, there's this gym leader, and it's like kind of, I wasn't expecting depth and emotion from like who the fire person is, because it's just explaining who I'm gonna battle next. And then the background stuff was always so small and like sidelined that it felt very sidelined. But now that's all together, which I think makes for a more cohesive story. But I think it does highlight the ways the story is not that interesting. Yeah, I agree. There are some story beats that we didn't hit. Like, I forgot to mention that when everybody turns their back on you, there's that weird little cutscene, which worked on me, where like even Shinx runs up, like the first Pokemon to attack you, and just kind of looks at you, and then it also betrays you and runs off. Where it's like,
I didn't interpret it that way.
Oh, really?
It was more like, to me, I interpreted it as like, it was trying to hammer in like just how lonely you are. Like this Shinx was like, oh wow, you're really pathetic, so I'm not gonna attack you. I got my family back here. I'm gonna go hang out with my family.
And then the fact that it looked at you and then went back to its family, and it was like, too bad you don't have anyone to go back to.
Right,
it was
that
just
is
trying
true.
So that was an instance of, I guess, like show don't tell in the story.
That was a good moment.
You're right.
So it was still very just like hammer over the head, like they're trying to make you feel lonely, so here's a violent Pokemon with a loving family, and you don't have a loving family.
I wish we had more of that.
Yes, I
I wish
agree.
It's better than someone explaining it to you that you're lonely.
Totally.
Yeah, but I definitely think Janet's right, because the story is more front and center, and because this is kind of built around the story, it does show the weaknesses of the writing, and like how they normally do it. It's a good story, but like it definitely shows more, you know, like it's not the solid foundation that you would expect.
Yeah.
It's the most interested I've been in that kind of storyline, which is technically the storyline that Pokemon's always telling. It's always like at least for many years, it's been like the end of the world or something crazy happening where there's like a weird space Pokemon and then you're in a portal and like there's no assets because we're in a portal and that's why I'm like, totally. It's all good. This is the most interested I've been in that because since the like weird supernatural stuff is always so sidelined, I've always been really disengaged from it. And at least here, I really felt at least curious about what's going to happen next and getting those questions answered. Again, I do think it was constructed better than previous Pokemon games, but that's kind of why I think it gets highlighted a bit more.
Until Ben told me Catching God wasn't worth it because I was really looking forward to that. I was like, oh my God, like if they're going to make me complete this entire Pokedex, like it's going to be good.
Look, I might be missing something, but from what I saw, it certainly did not seem good. So we didn't talk about some things in like that ice area, like those cheap characters, Sabi, like the little anime girl with Braviary.
I found out her Japanese name is Wasabi.
Oh, that's good.
Which makes a lot more sense because she has the green hat.
Yeah, just call her Wasabi then.
Cowards.
And then
I love her.
And Garrick, the basically wildling from Game of Thrones, walking around without his shirt on in the Icelands. It was
Someone
cool.
needs to explain to me why like Irida and Garrick are like, we're from the cold, so we don't have to wear clothes ever. Because like we're from Minnesota,
know that person.
and like we don't walk around in like, you know, tube tops in the middle of the winter.
We still feel
No, but
pain.
there's always the like shorts guy in.
Yes.
That's who I was going to mention, Kelsey. Yes.
Yeah,
the shorts
you
guy.
always. I'm sure you guys have those in Minnesota. You have guys who like, there's a blizzard outside and they're like, oh, it's fine, I'm going to wear shorts. Because I'm from Texas and we have the opposite where we have hoodie guy and it's like 110 degrees. And he's like, it's fine, I'm going to keep my black hoodie on.
What? Why? Are you serious?
It's the same thing as shorts guy.
Yeah,
it's like,
that seems more
like
outrageous.
In
I
shorts
grew up
guy
next
are
to
the
shorts
foils
guy.
of each other.
They need to meet. We need to get them together.
I think it's like a way of having a personality without like, you know, they're like, my personality is that I can withstand incredible hard weather in a weird way.
Like, I don't even feel it. You guys feel cold? Wow.
What's
like,
that like?
No.
Well, I guess it kind of
weather
works.
snobbery, you know, especially like now that I moved to like the West Coast, everyone's like, you're not allowed to feel like you're ever cold because I'm really cold. Like I haven't been colder. Like, come on, it's contextual, people. Read the room.
I think it kind of works for Game Freak here though, because can anybody describe Garrick's personality other than he
did a lot of squats.
Okay.
He did a lot of squats.
That's a personality, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Also, there's that interesting area in the ice world where it was like a shrine from Breath of the Wild. It was kind of like that one inside of the mountain area.
Yeah, the one puzzle of the entire game.
Where the person very explicitly says they will look at where the statues are looking and look at the
their
symbol.
eyes.
Yeah. I wish that would have been cool if they wouldn't have told you exactly what to do. I thought it was like, oh, it's a cool little puzzle area. It's all right.
Which is a little
until I rounded a corner. And I saw that Gallade.
Yes, that thing rocked me.
And I kicked my ass.
Yes.
I was like, it was like a horror movie. Like I was getting very much horror vibes. Like I turned the corner and then it started like dead sprinting after me. And I was like screaming and like running down the corridors. I felt like amnesia. This like thing's just like.
Well, you know what it reminded me of is like the very end when you're about to get out of Victory Road in the first game and you're like battered and bruised and like you just got through and then your rival comes in and it's like, are you ready for a
one last time?
Yes.
And you are absolutely not ready for a battle. I mean, not that like it was just puzzles and like there were Pokemon in there, but like it wasn't a difficult place to get through. But it's the only part of the game where like you had to sort of start and finish something in one sitting.
Yep.
And so yeah, I was like just ready to leave, and then I was like, oh, there's a really strong Pokemon here at the end, like gating me being done with this. I have to deal with this now.
Yeah.
I kind of liked it.
Yeah, it's weird, like in this game, not really having those kind of endurance runs, like going through a cave or something in an old Pokemon game. Because with fast travel, it's basically like you always have an escape rope on you at all times. Like PP was never an issue throughout the entire game for me. I mean, was there even ether in the game?
No,
they don't have any berries.
There's stuff that restores it, but
okay,
yeah,
huh. Also there was that section where you have to go through and answer. What were Azul? What's the thing that looks like Mew, but it's not Mew?
Azul?
Yeah.
I forget which one. It was the three lake spirits. I actually thought
Yeah.
the three lake spirit part was kind of interesting the
Yeah.
way they did it. Because I was a little, I don't know, like pre-annoyed because I was like, I don't want to have to, like, I now have to figure out my strategy to figure out catching all three of these because you're probably only getting one shot, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, you don't actually catch them at this part of the story, like, at all. So I kind of like the way that they handled it instead. It's like it's an encounter, but you do something kind of weird for each encounter, and you don't have to worry about catching them right now. You can do that later.
Yeah, when it brought up like that, just you switch level, system level UI prompt of like enter the number
God,
for how
the
many eyes
eyes
they had. I was like, what a weird thing, but sure, it's something different. I was all for it.
It couldn't have been like a 4-option thing where it's like A, B, C, D. Like I really had to go in and like type it out.
Like a calculator. Also, that made me laugh because there's one scene where you go in there and encounter this thing, and this Pokemon says, "Your emotions, share them with me." And then the dialogue option you have just says, "They're yours." I was like, what a weird thing to say to a Pokemon.
Like,
I don't care for it.
it was
Those,
Valentine's Day. I don't know.
wedding vows. Let's see. Tim Laro submitted a comment over on Patreon. He says, I was halfway through the game until I realized that you can see the type effectiveness of any move on the battle menu.
That was my favorite addition. I used that a lot.
It's excellent.
Especially because the types get all shuffled around and it all moves, and I really appreciated that.
I mean, it's been since Sun and Moon they've had that. I'm trying to remember when they added that on there. It's been a little while now, but it is a godsend for sure. It is totally just to the point of, all right, if they bring out some other Pokemon, I'm just going to hit down on the D-pad, just cruise through my guys. Like, all right, who am I sending out here? Let's see. Hamza R writes in and says, it was cool to see the turn order and how it could shift around with the different attack styles, but it seemed to make less and less sense the farther I got into the post game.
I had that issue too. It seemed like people were taking 2 turns when they only had 1 turn, and it was driving me insane.
I
think it's just literally, I think it's just speed stat. Like, so if you have a high enough speed, you can actually like lap the other person.
But it doesn't show you. Yeah, I literally my Blissey, who's like really slow, like God bless her, she's a brick house, like was literally sitting through like 5 attacks.
Oh my God. So Hugo replied to that comment on Patreon, and maybe this can help us out. He says, from what I gathered, it seems to be based on the stacking of your speed versus the stacking of your opponent's speed. Say, for example, your speed is 50 and your opponent's is 30. First round will be you 50 and your opponent 30. Second round will be you 100 and your opponent 60. Third round, however, since your opponent won't have broken your previous speed stack, you'll get to go twice and it'll remove the difference. Why is this confusing to everybody? Then agile or strength will increase or reduce how much gets added to your speed stack, and all that will differ based on the Pokemon facing each other and their levels, so that's why it can seem very random.
I think too, like even in the main game, I felt like it was accurate, but only to a degree. Someone in chat says that it's because you can't see the turn order change when it's on their turn. So like there's kind of like information. It's like you get the information late after it already affected you. So yeah, like I wish it was a little bit more real time updated, because I felt like as someone that never really fully wrapped my head around the speed stat, even though obviously it's like if it's faster, you can go before, like that's the bare bones of it. But I never really took it into much consideration. So like that combined with the agile versus strong, I thought it was so cool they did have that drop down. But yeah, it wasn't exactly perfect, but it was definitely better than nothing, which is what we had before. So
yeah, I wasn't using it for a while, and it wasn't until I realized that, like, oh wait, I can switch to strong and also get to go immediately. I thought just for sure if I went to strong that I'd be second in the queue or something that would bump me down. But it's like, oh, so there's no penalty, and now I just have a higher chance of one-shotting these fools. Yeah, so it was great.
Yeah, and you can check to see beforehand too, but sometimes you have a situation where like, if you agile, then you get another turn, and then you can use a strong on that second turn. So you basically
that's
get
what some
like
of the end bosses were doing to me, and I was like, "Excuse me."
Yeah,
like, I'm like sitting here with like a bunch of hits.
Hey, Pokemon gripe time. How come every other XP thing, like the medium and the small and the large thing, will carry forward where you're at, but the rare candy will just reset you right at the start of the new level?
Oh, that sucks.
You know what I mean? Like
I guess I haven't used any of my rare candies.
What?
I've just been collecting the XP stuff from the alphas.
Yeah,
primarily
Okay.
as drops.
Really? Oh, wow. I loaded up on those rare candies at the end, but it's just frustrating to be like, okay, if I'm not at basically 0 experience points for this level, then I'm throwing away
that
experience.
It's a waste.
Yeah, it's a little
Yeah, that's
frustrating.
interesting.
Let's see. Jonathan says, I know people say the game's graphics are atrocious, which they are, no argument there, but can we all agree that the skybox looks really good? Especially on a clear day, I would find myself looking at it far longer than necessary because it's super pretty.
And you have to stare at it because you have to see if the moon's full or not.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And if it rains, that's just too bad.
The purple sky, I wasn't as crazy about, but I thought the baseline sky looked great. Keaton Johnson writes in and says, fast travel and loading screens are so quick. Even a 10-second loading screen would have killed a lot of momentum that the game manages to maintain. Most loading takes fewer than 5 seconds. That is true. It wasn't bad at all. Also, the edibility of Pokemon is always an interesting piece of the Pokemon reality. In request number 37, called The Fragrance of Nostalgic Herbs, you are tasked with getting a Tangela for Risa. Once complete, she reveals to you that she plans to take small trimmings of the herb stalks and eat them. Creepy or resourceful? You decide. That's definitely creepy.
That one kind of upset me. I was like, you're going to keep this Tangela around to like harvest and eat? I don't like
Well,
that.
that one lady like wanted a Pokemon just to put on top of her pickle jar.
Yes, you wanted the
And it was
artillery's
just going to
ink.
live there its
Helping.
entire life.
But
Was
he's
it helping
like,
at the end? Because when she told me, she said it was just going to sit there to keep the lid on.
Well, are you talking
Oh,
Geodude?
that's true.
Imagine the
second
life
part of
that is. That's, yeah.
Because there's one where she wanted to
Yeah.
make the pickles out of Octillery's ink. Is that same
Yeah.
one? Okay.
yeah,
it's the same lady.
And then it evolves, and then okay, that's not cool. I was like, because to me, the way I was thinking of it was like, yeah, okay, he like performs his pickle job, but then he's like also part of the family now. Like he's the family pet. Yeah.
The real horrifying thing about Tangela in this game wasn't that side quest, but did anyone else notice the absurd pop-in of textures on Tangela? Like if you're just 10 feet away, it has like half the polygons in all of its vines. So it just looks like this chunky beast. And then if you're just 10 feet away, you can ride that line and it'll pop. And genuinely, that was the moment where I'm like, I don't think I can use it. I'm going to be too distracted the entire game. It's the most obnoxious pop-in for the entire game. That's why I had to go Tangrowth.
I'll have to look at
fewer
it now.
vines.
I didn't
didn't
use
do
it. I
it.
just named it Ben and I left it in its little field.
Most
but
people
I'll
do
bring
that.
out Ben and see how broken he is.
Bring out Ben and then just slowly
The fact
inch
that
towards
that
him.
pasture has like several legendary Pokemon in it and several alphas, like those people should be terrified. They're literally
Yes.
living next to like a nuclear arms factory at this point.
Tommy Click-shish. Sorry, I can't pronounce your name, bitter Tommy. In my opinion, only second to the story, the biggest flaw in this game is the UI. I'm currently 45 hours into the game. I already beat the end game boss, and I'm still mixing up which buttons open the map, the satchel, the Pokedex, or switching between items and Pokemon in the open world. Sometimes the triggers cycle through your options. Other times it's the shoulder buttons. Select opens the map, but then is zoom out and you have to hit B to close it. The inconsistency and a lack of proper pause button
And if you
really
want to see
hinders
your
the game.
quest, you have to open the map to get to your quest, and then you have
Yep.
to go to your
Yep.
not main quest, then you have to sort the quest. I would love to
It's
do
a
like
mess.
a breakdown, like UI, UX look at this, because like
Yes.
just thinking about the quest stuff, the fact that like I can't see when I've completed a quest at all, like nothing pops up, nothing changes in the menu, like it should tell me if I've completed it, because I don't want to have to check if I have a level 10 research Magikarp. You know, it's asking a lot. It's asking you to do a lot of homework. It's asking you to do a lot of like checking my papers and like making sure I have it in a line. But
Totally.
yeah, the UI and the back end stuff is like not. I would love to see quests based on region. Like when I'm in the Coronet Highlands, I want to see what quests I can do here.
Yes.
That would be amazing.
Yes, super smart. Yeah, L2 Larson wrote in a long thing just talking about pasture organization and how frustrating that was. Just,
I can't find my Pokemon.
Yes.
I lose them into the abyss.
yeah, it's a mess. Stephen Woodson writes in and says, I want to shout out the ability, though, to press R3 to instantly hide all the HUD. Although you have to first enable it in settings. It even hides when Pokemon are aggro at you and hides the cursor for throwing Pokeballs. It's one minor thing that I feel like this game is pushing the boundaries on. I'd love to see it in other games. I didn't know that was a thing. That sounds great.
Me neither.
That's the only way to take good photos
That's
in this
everyone's
game.
taking
Is
their
not
photos.
not the photo studio, not the place where you would go
that's
to
a good
take
use
photos.
case.
It's if you want to take actual photos of your team.
Because I'll admit I'm not a minimalist UI person. Like, I mean, I appreciate when that can be done, and I think it's really fun to see games innovate in design to create a more immersive experience. Like, even though I'm not in love with Ghost of Tsushima, but I think the wind thing is very cool. And like other elements like that are interesting. But I remember like even just playing like Horizon 1 and people being like, oh, for me, I turn off everything and I'm just out there in the wild. I'm like, oh no, thank you. I need something to tie me down a little bit. But I do think that, yeah, the UI, I did get kind of more used to it, but it took a lot of hours. Like I continuously made that mistake. And even the iconography of it, like the satchel and the other one look fine, but the one that's like the map, it never looks like a map to me. It just looks like a sideways dish or something.
Just a weird
I don't
phone
know.
thing. Yeah, it's a mess. Clemens Zobel writes in, says, Pearl and Diamond Pokedex says Spirit Tomb was bound to an odd keystone 500 years ago by a traveler. Vessa, the girl who has you collect the wisps, references this traveler, so maybe Legends takes place less than 500 years ago? If that's the case, some of the changes to the region seem pretty intense in that short time scale, like Hisuian variants disappearing. Well, there's some sort of cataclysm maybe, and it scatters Pokemon to the world. I don't know.
I feel like they said exactly how long ago it was. I don't remember what they said, but I feel like they said... I feel like in some of the marketing, they were like, yeah, this is 1,000 years ago or something like that.
Maybe it does sound familiar.
Yeah.
In the big, like,
maybe
first
I'm wrong.
reveal thing.
I feel like they probably just, I don't know, that just gets reset every once. Like, no one continues adding years. They're like, yeah, it was 500 years ago. And they keep telling that story for the next 50 years, and no one ever, like, adds the 50 years that have passed. So,
Right. James Gameboy, great last name, great name for a gamer, writes in and says, as a 7-star Survey Corps member, I'm sad I'm only going to hear that ridiculous rank up fanfare a couple more times. My only request is that they make it even more over the top with each ascending rank. Yeah, that'd be nice, James. Paper Lantern writes in and says, being able to manually release all of your team from their Pokeballs at once is a joy. They fall asleep after standing there for a bit, and each one has a unique wake-up animation. Arcanine's animation is so good, says Paper Lantern.
They also like interact with each other a little bit sometimes. At least some of mine do, and it's very cute. Mm-hmm. I like it a lot.
It is wonderful. Troy Ellison submitted a comment over on Patreon saying, I'm not sure if I ever want to try out a recipe for potato is it mochi or mochi? I should really know
Mochi.
this.
Mochi.
It's mochi.
Thank you.
It's mochi, by the way.
Yeah, okay, mochi, got it.
I can't believe you played the whatever hours and you don't know the thing that was never
Ben's
said
been
aloud.
to Japan multiple times.
10 times.
He says mochi and he didn't know what the kombini was.
Look.
This man is just off the rails.
I'm listening to podcasts. I got my head down. I don't want to interrupt anybody's
This
time
is
over
the kind
there.
of stuff you can do when you're God's favorite. Anyway, go on.
That's right.
Get away with it.
Anyways, Troy Ellison says he doesn't know if he wants to eat that stuff or not. You should, Troy. I thought about that. Like, it'd be fun to come up with a recipe, and that would be the big
like I
idea.
want to make it,
There's
even
a
though
recipe.
I'm tired of seeing it, but I kind of want it now.
I love everything mochi, so I'm sure I would like potato mochi. Haven't tried it.
Bob Buell writes in and says, the Origin Ball, the red crystalline Pokeball used to catch either Palkia or Dialga, is often being compared to the original Master Ball. But for me, it actually looks almost identical to a Cherish Ball, which is unobtainable Pokeball in the modern series that your event-only Pokemon come contained in. It would make sense that those extra rare event Pokemon only need to be contained in something special, and a version of this original ball seems to be it. That's very
Have I
good.
even played Pokemon?
No. We're all fake gamers
Apparently
today.
not.
Yeah, these people are incredible. Jason McDonald, since this game doesn't have multiplayer fights that I know of, and shiny hunting being easier than ever, do you see interest in it falling off for people quicker than other Pokemon games?
Well, I think it doesn't have the long tail of, like, without the competitive stuff, you are losing a lot of that long tail that exists for a lot of people. I mean, not everybody, but, like, that's why a lot of people continue playing. And then, I don't know how, like, how many people shiny hunt without streaming it in the older games. Like, it's good stream content, but it's a lot of work in most of those games. And I don't know, maybe good for while you're listening to a podcast or something. But
Totally.
I don't know. I do think that the ease of shiny hunting is part of why I'm still playing it. Though, like, I think that actually extends the tail for me personally, because I'm like, I can do this in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm curious to see I don't know. I guess I don't have a sense, not being really clued into the competitive scene, like how much the multiplayer will keep this thing alive. But I think it's all that really matters at the end of the day is that money. And it seems like it's selling like crazy. So I think they'll be quite happy with it. And if they make DLC, most people will come back. Taylor Clark writes in and says, my favorite Pokemon game ever is this one. This game by far has taken my hopes and dreams as a 9-year-old boy and made them a reality. Regardless of its shortcoming, this game is genuinely everything I've ever wanted, and I'm so happy. I feel the same way, Taylor. Thank you. Thank you for being the same as me. But he asks, what region deserves a next entry in the Legend series? Hopefully it's a sub-series. My hope is Unova. I want to see 2 ancient warring factions. Yeah, I think it'd be the most interesting to come to the States and do the black and white world, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I have a good story.
Yeah, I think that one would be really cool. I know it's very, like, I swear I'm not a Gen 1er at all, but I do think it would be cool, the Kanto and Hoenn thing and, like, being able to cross between the two of those at the same time in this kind of world.
Totally.
But I think I agree that Unova's probably the most interesting direction to go next.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what they do. Okay, I think we're here, everybody. I think we are in the end game now, as Dr. Strange said once. Who said that? So officially, if you have not finished the game, or if you've only seen credits roll, spoilers for everything else in the game at this point. So heads up, everybody. Okay, so I didn't get every Pokemon, obviously, but I did all the big fights and all that fun stuff. So Sarah and I think, are in roughly the same arena. And Kelsey, how far did you get?
I've done all of those additional legendary things, except the volcano one, because I only tried it once and gave up very quickly. But how do you get him to stop being on fire and like
I haven't gotten to that part yet. You're fighting like this. Oh, that guy! You pick up the mud on the ground and you throw it at him.
Yep, you just got to throw.
I did that.
It's a lot of mud.
A lot.
It's more
all
than you
the
think.
mud.
Yes.
Just
I
keep
just
throwing
have to
the
keep
mud.
throwing mud.
Yes,
You
I
all
know.
the mud, Kelsey. Pick it all up. Yeah,
Okay,
that was
that's
dumb
really
too.
annoying. I even went back and I got myself some snowballs because I was like, that'll work.
Oh, interesting.
See, you forgot
But-
that this was a Pokemon game, and while that is very smart and logical of you, there is no logic here.
I'm trying to Breath of the Wild this.
Yeah, really. You're playing Breath of the Wild, and you need to be playing Pokemon.
Yep, just pick up what they put in front of you.
Well, I saw like they give you mud there, and I'm like, okay, you throw the mud at him, but then it didn't work. And I was like, okay, I'm out.
I was
totally
totally
mud.
the same
I was
camp.
just going.
Yep, and that was in the area where I'm like, I need to preserve all of my max revives, and so I died once. And I'm like, I can't afford this, so I just ended up Googling it, and it's like, okay, yeah.
I can't afford this.
I can't afford to lose max.
I actually, the max revives definitely pulled me across the finish line of this game for sure. But like, I went into absolute debt having to purchase them all.
Oh,
Really?
Man, maybe I just was like over leveled for the end of the game or something, but like I don't think I used any healing items this entire time.
I didn't use them until the Volo battle.
Yes, so this is,
And that's the one where I was like force feeding my Blissey max revive.
That was a tough one.
I was like, we gotta get through this, and the multiple
it's ridiculous.
It was a little.
It's a bit much. So Janet, it turns out Volo, that fella that's been following you the whole time, is also secretly bad and stabs you in the back, and he wants.
That's so sad.
I saw it from the
surprising.
beginning. I
Did you
I saw
really?
that man's face, and I said,
I thought he was the only one who was cool.
No, it
And
turns
now
out
I
he
didn't
wasn't
like
cool.
that guy. I fell for it.
I was confused about
I'll
what he.
never know because I'm not going to do the post. Well, actually, I might do the
You
post
should,
game.
you
I've only
should.
done the post game maybe for Sword and Shield, and I don't even remember if I actually did that. I usually don't do the post game. You know me.
This
I'm
is
the
really
credit.
close
The credits
to the
roll.
end of. This is really
gone.
close to the end of the post game, so
It's worth doing. It's not that outrageous. But I'm still confused about what Volo wants. He wanted to meet Arceus, to conquer Arceus, to remake the world himself or something.
He was like a
he's one of
religious
those.
fanatic. Yeah, he like wanted to summon the anti-Arceus in order to get Arceus to come out and face him. But even in the end, Arceus didn't face him. And then he was like, well, I guess I tried everything.
That was basically it. Let's see, there's some stuff before that. So Nick from Atlanta writes in and says, at the top of Mount Coronet is the Temple of Sinnoh, which includes tributes to the 10 Pokemon of the ancient hero. These are the 5 mounts and 5 nobles we've met throughout the game. Yet for some reason, Hisuian Electrode is on the left with the other mounts, and Sneasler is on the right with the other nobles. I guess it's all destroyed by Palkia and Dialga appearing, but it still kind of bothered me. Yeah, that should bother you. That is upsetting.
I was just bothered at Avalug's size because he was so small, and I was like, he was way bigger in person.
Okay, let me know if anybody in the chat even understands what this is. Mike Spam says, while there are hours worth of references in this game that could be talked about somewhere else, I want to note the one that stands out to me. Playing the Azure Flute to get the staircase on top of Mount Coronet has been a decade in the waiting for Western Pokemon fans.
That's because I forget exactly like the exact stuff, but you can't actually get is it Shaman that you can't actually get? There's one Pokemon that you can't actually get in the original game because they only did the event in Japan.
Okay, wow, thank you.
And that was the item you were supposed to use, and so you can like action replay it in and not but not do it like in any official way.
Gotcha. Okay.
Someone in chat will correct me with exactly what I'm it might have been Arceus.
Oh, interesting. Okay, that's interesting. So yeah, basically this endgame stuff is you're going around collecting all these. You got your Dialga or Palkia in your team, all that fun stuff, and you can make it look hideous if you want. Then you're just going around and collecting all these different legendaries. Is always kind of a unique thing. Like Cresselia, when you get her, she like reverses the controls as you get close to her. Just a good video game classic, which is funky.
Wait, I didn't even notice that.
Wait, really?
What? I just threw a Pokemon at her.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I guess maybe I was trying to get close to her or something.
No, I literally just yeeted. I was like, okay, let's get this over with.
Smart.
No, I like it, but it's funny because I've played so much. Actually, it's Monster Hunter that prepared me for this because there's an owl in one of the Monster Hunters that like that's what they do to you is they make you like move backwards. So I just got really good at navigating backwards. I'm like, this is easy. Whatever. I can
do it in my sleep. I had no idea about Regigigas. Like, that guy looks so ridiculous. He's got, like, the weird broccoli feet and broccoli head and just, like, a bunch of buttons on his chest. Like, he's the type of ugly Pokemon I was really tempted to include in my team. It's like, all right, you might be a new mainstay here, buddy. I'm going around all this stuff. Oh, before that, even though, you fight Kamado on the beach. And that was the first fight where I was like, oh, this is actually kind of tough. Like, I didn't die, but it was the first one where it's like, okay, I'm going to have to actually pay attention a little bit more. And then after you beat him, he says, no real reason, but he says, it might be more appropriate to call this region the Sinnoh region. He just has like this epiphany where it's like, yeah, sure. All right, there you go. You did it, buddy. Sarah?
Yeah.
What did you think about Big Volo and that big fight after you get all these legendaries?
I thought the fight was really good.
Yeah.
Although I don't think they prepared us well enough for it. It really feels like they, the difficulty kind of skyrocketed a little bit with the multiple forms. What's the name of the Pokemon that we were fighting? Started with a G.
Giratina?
Yeah, the Giratina. And then I thought that I could catch him.
Oh,
and they were like,
really?
that's a trainer Pokemon. And I'm like, is it?
The amazing thing, though, is then after that fight, he is in the cave that's over.
Yeah, I went to get him, but I was like, we could have made this so much shorter.
But the sweet thing
and he was easier to fight in the cave, too, which I was a little mad about.
Yeah, you can basically one-shot this guy over in the cave in the coastal area. And then the amazing thing is, yeah, you can one-shot him, but then he just reappears. It's not like you lose your chance to catch this legendary. So now it's just the best place to grind if you want to level up everybody else.
Is that true of all the legendaries?
I think it might be, because I was confused about what you would do.
I was saving before all of them, like, assuming that I only had one shot.
Yeah, but I don't know what the story, how it would accommodate if you didn't have one of the legendaries in your party. So I would imagine that it makes you catch one of those.
Oh, and I mean, you have to complete the Pokedex, so I guess it makes sense. It's almost like you literally have to catch these Pokemon. There's no other... I do want to know, this is very stupid, but I want to know, in the modern Pokemon games, like, these legendaries are back out there. So, like, at what point after your character dies...
That's what I was thinking. What happens to your Pokemon when you die?
And return to their place as legendaries so that some person 2,000 years later can catch them again. And how many times has this happened?
Yeah, well, these Pokeballs are not like, metal Pokeballs. They're like biodegradable Pokeballs. So at some point, the weather, I think, will get through
now
them.
They're definitely trapped.
So, like, 100 years from now, tiny Giratina that's been shrunk down because it chooses to shrink down for some reason, like emerges from the Pokeball and is like, oh, I can stretch again.
Yeah, basically the genie, yeah. Oh, they say, Kojita suggests that, is what people are saying in the chat, that they will be stuck after you catch them. Yeah, she's cool and mysterious. She knows everything, apparently. Mason Cowell says, Volo's cutscene with Giratina actually gave me chills because it was so cool. I also love that you could capture every single legendary in the game that appears in the overworld without ever engaging them in battle. This is absolutely my favorite Pokemon game of all time. Getting 100% of the Pokedex and getting the shiny charm was consistently fun and never felt like a grind to me. Aegis of the Grail writes in and says, I love that Volo's team is the same as Cynthia's champion battle. But did anyone else find Volo's post-game fight to be absolute BS? He has 8 Pokemon! Mm-hmm. So how it works is you fight him, and then you don't get a break, and then it's Giratina. Then you have to take out Giratina, and then it's super form of Giratina. It's crazy.
Two forms,
it shows 6 Pokeballs, but then there's actually 8.
Well, no, because it's not Volo, because Volo doesn't have Giratina in his party. So you fight his entire party, and then he's like, but I still summon Giratina. And then it's just a cutscene, so then you go right into that with the same health. And if you lose, you have to start it all over. It's a lot. But Aegis of the Grail...
You found like a workaround for the carrying 6 Pokemon thing. Yes. What you're saying.
Exactly. And so Aegis says, because it almost always becomes his turn after one of his Pokemon gets KO'd, he can just send out a Pokemon with the type advantage and usually one-shot your Pokemon, and there's nothing you can do about it. Most of the fight felt like trading KOs back and forth, which favors him because, again, he has 8 Pokemon. Mm-hmm. And then Uncharted Wolf here is doing the Lord's work. They say, Volo has 8 Pokemon, the most of any trainer ever. Previously, the record was held by Greevil in Pokemon XD, who used a full team plus Shadow Lugia, and Getsis in Pokemon Black 2, who used a full team plus Kyurem. Kyurem. Thank you, Uncharted Wolf. So that is why Volo is truly the most badass of all trainers. This is the fight where I was like, I'm sorry, team, but you're all going out to pasture. You're going out to the farm in the sky because I need the legendaries just to try and scrape through this. And even then I couldn't beat them until I then upgraded the shop to the level of getting all the max revives. And then I bought all those, and then it was basically a cakewalk.
Yeah, my team was like low 70s for this fight.
Yeah.
And essentially what I did was I didn't really have too much issue with his fight. Like I was just like switching Pokemon and like trying to recover. But then when he sent out, what is it, Giratina?
Yeah.
Giratina? I was like, okay. And then I got him, like my Pokemon were already kind of like, I wasn't really managing them, right? The health was low. We were like barely hanging on. Like a bunch of people were just dead. Then the other Pokemon comes out and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
So then I was like using max revives, and then I finally got it. And I had like 1 Pokemon left. And I was like, oh my God, I did it. Like I got it. And then it's like, second form, and I was like, no! And then they died, but then I came back with even more max revives because you can't keep me down. And I just kind of like brute forced it.
Yeah.
Because my Clefairy had like 600 health, and even his strongest attack could only do 200 health. So we were just trading off, and I would like do soft boil to heal my Clefairy while I was like max reviving my team.
Smart.
So I don't know. I guess I only had to do it twice, and I got through on the second time, but it was a struggle.
Yeah, it's definitely rough. Dragon type helps by the end a lot. And my friend Ronnie, who was playing, he texted me and he's like, hey, when did ground moves become like unbeatable? Mm-hmm. And it is definitely something noticeable. Like, it turns out Bulldoze is just always super effective. Like any ground move towards these guys.
I think it lowers your speed.
Is that what it is? Okay.
As well, which is why he was getting so many hits in, even though the turn order wasn't changing.
Oh, gotcha.
This is why having a Team Volbird Pokemon comes in handy. Because they can't even be hit by ground moves.
Hell yeah. See, if Volo would have taken your advice, Kelsey, you would have been annihilating out there.
The secrets to take to the skies. Who would have known?
What is Regigigigas? He has that weird thing where you bring him out, Sarah, and it would say like, he's slow to get out of bed in the morning. There's some
I literally wouldn't know. I don't use legendaries.
Yeah, but you should try because this guy's really cool.
No, I like my team.
Was he leveled past the like amount that you could control with your research level?
No, I think it's just something about him, I guess. Oh, he doesn't move for the first couple turns, says DJ Tommy. Well, that seems like a terrible idea. I take back all the nice things I said about him.
Rock golem thing?
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's weird. Tanner Methven, says, oh my God, that final fight versus Volo and then Giratina was thrilling and infuriating. I know it was an homage to Cynthia in Gen 4, but it really felt like he had objectively the best Pokemon party. I must have thrown myself at him and Giratina like a dozen times before I won. Also, I kind of love that they went full JRPG final boss by essentially having 3 phases. On a final note, in my opinion, Volo was way hotter before he revealed his weird Arceus-looking outfit.
That's what I was thinking too. He took off his hat and I was like, oh, what is that? Like, I was thinking he was kind of cute. Like, he had the vibes. Like, I thought he was kind of cool. And then at the end, he has like the worst. He's got like a Roman toga on. And he's like trying to restart his like ethno-religion, like where he's trying to reclaim it. And he's got this weird hair tail going on. Horrible. Disgusting.
Give him a chance. Let him rule the universe.
It's disgusting. It's horrifying.
Hugo says, jumping to the very end, I was astonished that the Arceus fight invoked so much from the most bizarre event in Pokemon history. The song and the arena are pulled directly from this event from Heart Gold Soul Silver, where bringing Arceus to some ruins has him spawn a baby legendary for you with the weirdest cutscene ever.
Oh.
He then shared a link to this cutscene. I kind of want to see. I'll let you know what the name of it is if anybody wants to check it out at home. Oh, the link says this video isn't available anymore. So it was too good. We can't look at the cutscene of God.
You're burying it.
Joe Beezer says, so how about that Arceus fight? This is after you collect.
I wouldn't know.
He says, it was the first overworld fight that made me sweat. The reward for beating it is an Arceus and a tablet that grants Arceus the ability to switch to an advantageous type mid-battle.
But at that point, what are you going to use it for?
That's always the thing, right?
You've already caught all the Pokemon.
Yep.
And there's no multiplayer. There's like what? I guess I haven't gotten there, so I wouldn't know. But I've been picking up these plates and these STDs for like ever. I got like 50 of them. Yeah. What am I supposed to use it on?
No one knows. But it really made me laugh, by the way, in the game. Like, you're collecting these stones, and it's like, oh, we got to assemble the stones, and it'll tell us something about the world. And then somebody at some point, I think it's that Leon guy, he says, there's rumors that one of the stones Arceus used to create the universe. It just made me laugh, like, rumors? Like, who's spreading these rumors? Like, there's rumors that God once said, let there be light. It's like,
obviously,
what kind of rumor
it's Volo.
is that? Oh, Volo, of course. Yeah. Let's see. Hurley13 Tank says, the professor giving you, oh, this is good. The professor giving you the other 2 starters when you beat the game is awesome. This is something I remember hearing rumors about in the playground at school when Gen 1 dropped, so it's cool that it's actually true now.
Well, yeah, because I need to finish that Pokedex to apparently see the rest of the game.
You gotta do it.
So you better give me those other starters.
So yeah, based on the cutscene that I saw at least, and people let us know if there's more to it here, but it is about as boring as the opening for what Arceus says. He's like, oh, it is good that thou hast found every Pokemon. Truly, I was wise to send you, for thou art great.
Why does he even want you
great
to catch
job.
all the Pokemon?
It really, it's
great job.
Zero.
You put all my children in tiny
I
balls.
think it's like Noah's Ark. He's like just trying to get you to take inventory. Like,
but why?
Get 2 of every Pokemon. I don't know.
I was expecting some explanation, or even just some explanation of where we came from, but
so we didn't go back. We didn't like.
He's literally
nothing.
just taking inventory. He's like, I don't want to do it. I'm too lazy. Just can you go figure out what all is out there for me?
And then, do we ever see Volo ever again after we defeat him?
He's lowered into lava. I don't know. Yeah, where did he go? I don't.
Because he leaves, and like the professor makes a note, or like somebody makes a note that they're like, oh yeah, Volo tipped us off of where you could find the Pokemon because he still wants to help with the Pokedex. And I'm like, oh, didn't he just try to end the world? Like, because he was summoning that Pokemon because he kind of wanted to do like a hard restart on the world for whatever reason. The motivations were weak at best.
Well, it's confusing. Yeah, Johnny McGrippus says, what's the first thing you did after you tamed a god, and why was it to have Arceus shake down some apricots? It's funny. It is funny to see apricots, to see Arceus just sitting out in the field, and then like, I think Suriel Vasquez even tweeted about how silly it is because you just show Arceus to Professor Laventon, and he's like, cool, another one for your Pokedex. That's about it. It's like, you're looking at God. You're looking at the face of God.
It's literally the same reaction for every legendary. He's like, oh, interesting. And you're like, hello.
It's absurd. But hey, I think that's it for community comments for the deepest dive. A lot of people really loved it. Beefcake said, how crazy is it that it's sold out everywhere, apparently physically. He can't find it in a store. Jacob,
I've sold hundreds at my store, which is nuts. We don't sell new games like that.
Yeah, because I forget, have any sales numbers gotten out there, or they just said that it's on track to be one of the best-selling Pokemon games? I think just something vague like that.
I think there's something out there, but I don't know what. Yeah, it might just be like it's selling faster than other ones. I don't know if it's a numbers thing.
Yeah, that's just the weird thing to think about is, there are going to be 7 million people that experience this story, that experience this tale of Arceus and that bizarre opening intro. That's the part that warms my heart, is just what a weird story to tell to millions and millions of people.
Well, what's even funnier is like at the very end of the game, you can go to the temple and you can play your Arceus flute or whatever for him, even if you haven't collected all the Pokemon.
Really?
And they'll make you sit through the whole cutscene of you playing, like, and then you kind of stop and you wait, and you hear like beep 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 beep, and it's your phone, it's God, and it literally says like catch all the Pokemon, and you're like,
it's like I'm not showing up yet. Dude.
It literally is like it like goes to voicemail essentially, and it's just like you didn't catch all the Pokemon yet, so
yeah. God,
why didn't God just tell Volo to catch all the Pokemon?
Yeah.
If Volo was so bent on meeting God. Why did he have to pull me out of like a wormhole?
Because Volo wasn't worthy. You were the one that was worthy after all, Sarah. Don't you understand?
I literally had the same thought. Like, I thought of the phrase worthy in my head as well. It was kind of scary.
I was kind of bummed out that, as far as I can tell, it's the same flute call for like every Pokemon throughout the game, like all of the mounts. Like, it would be cooler to have like an ocarina thing. Like, give them all their own song. It's like 4 notes. Is it that hard? I don't know. Yeah. But hey, in general, hell of a game.
Wait, I have one more thing.
Yes, please. I'm sorry.
And you even told me to make sure I bring it up, which is someone who did some like camera hacking, that sort of thing, found in an unused area. There's an unused, like fully formed modern bedroom, which I know last episode we were talking about, like, what is the end of this game? Like, do you wake up in your bed and it was all a dream? Do you have the option of like going back home? I don't know. This doesn't necessarily mean like cut end game thing. It could have also been cut pre-game stuff. Like it could have been like you get pulled from your bed.
Yeah,
I was kind of thinking that was it, because the opening cutscene is literally a black screen.
Yeah, it's weird.
Which is not how I would suggest game developers start their games. So I feel like they didn't want to confuse the user by showing them a room they never returned to.
Yeah.
But it was like fully designed and it looked really cool. And I wish
they don't. Oh, sorry.
I don't know how they find it, because they just clipped through everything.
Oh, I don't know that. But I think maybe they need you to not question why your character is never like, I'd like to go home now.
True.
So like if they show you a home that you can return to, I mean, this is pure speculation, but I just know that I would be thinking even more about it if I remembered there really being cool a home to go to. But man, yeah, your character just rolls with it like the most chill person that has ever existed. Like, absolutely no desire, as far as I can see, this entire game to return from the place you were pulled from. You're just like, yeah, all right, this is life now, whatever.
I guess, the Sinnoh region in the future just truly sucks. His life was just that miserable where it's like, yeah, okay, I'll go back and fight gods, whatever. Is there any chance that this is the best Pokemon game ever? I think if you remove nostalgia, and I'm being honest with myself, I think this is number 1 for me. But that's a tall order, I understand, to remove all nostalgia from
play
Pokemon.
some of the older ones.
What's that, Shannon?
I feel like I have to play some of the older ones to like some of. I'd like to play, if I didn't already play them, some of the ones that people say are the best ones.
It's like Soul Silver, I guess, Gold.
Yeah, the only thing that sucks is like the quality of life is always so rough with the older ones. That's why I like Alpha Sapphire a lot, because I feel like it's a fire game that was modernized, and I have like very few gripes with that game. So I don't know, but I think there's at least a conversation there for it, which I think is a real testament to what this game does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how to remove nostalgia, Ben. I don't think I can do that.
I know.
Like, I get what you're saying, and I feel close to believing you, but like there's or agreeing with you, I should say. But like there's I don't know, there are not moments in my life that have lived up to discoveries in like one of the first games I ever played, and like a formative game in my entire experience. It's hard to like break away from that completely. But this is like, if you're going back and playing things now, like this is a more fun game to play than the games that like began my journey as someone who plays a lot of RPGs. Yeah,
like if someone wanted a good Pokemon game to start with, I mean, there's no way you'd go for an older one, right? It's like, oh, absolutely this by a mile.
I might go for an older one because I think this one's so different that, not that it's necessarily even better, but I think this one's so different that it'd be kind of misleading. Again, Alpha, like, and I have not played all of them for people listening. I have not played all the games.
Sure.
But like Alpha Sapphire, I think it's fire. Now, I will say, do I want someone booting up their 3DS? I'm a little scared about what that 3DS looking like in 2022, but I loved Alpha Sapphire. I love Sun and Moon. Even the one that was like in France was pretty cool.
There's
Pokemon Cafe.
Yeah.
I dare you though. I mean, this was in the Digital Foundry video, but go back and look at some of that early camera work in X and Y, like in that main city when they forced the camera to come down. It is so rough to go back to.
Yeah, I didn't really play much of X and Y. Like I started and then I didn't go back. Maybe I knew
liked X and
somehow.
Y.
Yeah.
apparently I put 100 hours into Pokemon Y, which I just saw this 3DS memory
I sent
thing.
There's a 3DS memory thing floating around with like, there's some basic updates. I don't want to turn this into like a news episode, but there's some updates on like stuff getting pulled from the store, you won't be able to buy. So like this 3DS memories thing's floating around. And it's funny because I was thinking about this for Legends, where I have like, I don't know, 40 hours in or something like that. And I'm like, well, I think Sword and Shield, I feel like I did like 80 or something. And I'm like, surely that's so much more than I normally do. But no, I've always put like 80 hours into these games. I just guess I'm just walking around. But Pokemon Moon, 85 hours. Alpha Sapphire, 80 hours. So I'll be interested to see what Arceus looks like at the end of the year for my hour count.
Yeah, I can go back and do some more side quests, I guess. I clocked it at 34 hours, which was a lot shorter than I was expecting.
I'm at like 50 hours.
Really?
I'm also at 50 hours.
I'm trying to complete the Pokedex, which adds a lot of time. But like, I feel like I haven't played the best Pokemon game yet. Like, looking at what Arceus is providing, I feel like I will be playing a better Pokemon game in the future if they can like get a lid on like the UI issues, the graphical issues. I don't think I played the best Pokemon game yet. And I'm like truly looking forward to it.
Yeah.
That's an exciting thought, because I don't think that I have thought that in a really long time, like well over a decade.
Totally.
Am I the only one here that likes Sword and Shield?
Yes.
I loved Sword and Shield.
It's fine.
Sword and Shield was fine. I liked it, but like, yeah, I never felt like, oh, there's definitely something super amazing coming right around the corner until now. And I'm like, okay, yeah, like if they keep going with this, it will actually get better. It will continue to improve, and that's cool.
They did it.
You walked out onto a soccer field and you fought a giant cake. Like,
the music was good. The music was good in those fights for sure.
Like, and again, I don't think, especially looking back, Sword and Shield was perfect by any means, but I feel like that is, in a way, the dream. Like a combo of like, what if we could have our Gigantamax cake and eat it too? What if we could have a main line, like we're going through the gym stuff, but maybe like, again, my bad idea of combining all the games. What if the gyms had like more twists on them? Like you brought in some of that Trials energy and there was a wild area and it was just as big. And then also just start packing it in. Like just change the whole development cycle. This is now a 10-year project for Pokemon Ultimate. And it's the greatest Pokemon game ever. And people will still be like, I don't know, the lines look funny on the edge or whatever, but I'll have fun.
On the edge. Oh, by the way, I just saw a random note, just to mop up truly everything, is I'm so thankful that there's no stamina for Sneasler when you're climbing, that it's just limitless going up those mountains. I feel like, I'm sure they had that in there at some point or talked about it, because like, well, you gotta have a stamina, but it's like, no, just let people have fun. Let it be some janky mountain climbing going nuts there. All right. Hey, I'm sure we missed something, and that is your responsibility, everybody, to leave a comment here on YouTube. Let us know what we missed, and hopefully you enjoyed this discussion. Hopefully we lived up to, the claim of calling it the best, most thorough discussion about Pokemon Legends Arceus on the internet. I enjoyed talking about it. I'm so glad we did this for the deepest dive. I feel like I was on the fence about like this or Horizon, and I can't imagine having this many notes and then just trying to squeeze them all into the main episode. So thank you all for joining me on this grand adventure.
Yay.
Yay.
Yeah.
We should all say some line of dialogue that makes no sense. I'm like,
yeah.
I love
Pokemon are terrifying.
Totally. No, thank you all. And thanks to everybody who has supported the Game Club. That's right. Who has supported the Game Club format, the Deepest Dive format. And you can support it moving forward over there on Patreon. And thanks to everybody who submitted a comment. We got hundreds and hundreds of comments. So thank you all for playing along with us. That's very sweet. Kelsey, thank you for being here. Our guest of honor, as always.
Thanks for having me. This was fun to talk about a Pokemon game a lot. Weirdly. Like I had no expectations going into this. I'm like, I know I'm going to play this game, and so I will have thoughts about it. Surely, I was not expecting to have this many thoughts, so that was exciting.
Our brains were lit on fire. If people want to support just video game history as a concept, Kelsey, where should they go?
Yeah, you can follow the Video Game History Foundation on Twitter. It's gamehistory.org. We're gamehistory.org on the internet. We've got a Patreon as well, and we have a podcast called the Video Game History Hour.
It's so good. It's so excellent. I listen to a lot of it while playing this game because this is truly a great podcast game. So make that combo in your life happen. All right, everybody. We appreciate it. And as Kalaba, the old lady, once said in Pokemon Legends Arceus, she said, all lives touch each other.
Oh, no.
Oh, hang on. I need to make sure I quote her correctly. She says, all lives touch other lives to create something anew and alive. And I feel like
that was a very real eyes. In the game for me. Like when I read that, I was like, okay.
It's beautiful. I agree, Sarah. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye. Content like this exists because of you. Thank you so much for subscribing on YouTube, sharing it with a friend, and especially for supporting MinMax on Patreon. Supporters at any tier on Patreon unlock access to MinMax's Discord, the friendliest place on the internet, where you can compete in game trivia every month to win prizes with our show Trivia Tower. Thanks so much for watching and sharing our stuff, everybody.